Hey everyone, it's me, Julia Flowergothic. It is the year of our Lord 2024. Not only does this mark 71 years since the release of the original Duck Dodgers in the 24th and 1/2 century Looney Tunes short, but it also marks 4 years since I released what I consider to be one of my most ambitious projects, the 2010 Trilogy. It was a way for me to make peace with 3 of my childhood hyperfixations: Duck Dodgers, Loonatics Unleashed, and Duck Dodgers Loonatics Unleashed crossover fanfiction, Prince of Mars. It's by no means my best work. Hell, if I was making this video today, I would have done it very differently. But I feel it's good in its own way. I was bored in quarantine and had very little else to do after all. This is also one of the few times my brother appears on screen. He's wearing a dress which, let me make it clear, he consented to. Again, we were both in quarantine. We were both very bored. This first part focuses on Duck Dodgers, a little-known show that aired on Cartoon Network from 2003 to 2005. And for the first time, it's being showed in its uncensored form. That means no blurs, no muted audio, just pure animated perfection. Let's watch it together.
Many years have passed since I was last in his arms, but I remember it like it was yesterday. We were to be married. He was to be my consort, but at the last minute, he ran off without a word. I would have killed him if I could. I just didn't have the heart. Did I love him? Of course I did, and I suppose I still do. He's handsome, intelligent, and did everything in his power to claim my heart. But he has hurt me so many times. He left me at the altar, stranded me in the cloudy nebulas, and rejected my advances in front of my court. I have no reason to still love him, but here's the thing. I think of him every day. I think of what could have been. We could have had a family together, and I would have been the happiest woman in the world. I know it sounds stupid, but maybe, just maybe, that is still possible.
Hey guys, it's Flowergothic, and today I'll be talking about a little-known cartoon from the 2000s that shaped my entire life. It was something special, something that inspired me when I discovered it and resulted in the beginning of this very channel. I'm talking, of course, of Cartoon Network's Duck Dodgers.
None of y'all have probably heard of this show, so I'm going to start by giving some context. And information on it was limited, so I apologize for the lack of sources. Duck Dodgers was originally a Looney Tunes short from 1953 by animation legend Chuck Jones called Duck Dodgers in the 24th and 1/2 century. It was a parody of the space opera character Buck Rogers, a 20th century man frozen for 500 years and reawakened to go on space adventures. The short, however, followed a simple plot. Duck Dodgers, aka Daffy Duck, is said to find the last of an atom on planet X. He, along with his eager young space cadet, aka Porky Pig, find it after a bit of directional trouble, but oh noes! Marvin the Martian shows up in one of his first appearances and fights to claim planet X for Mars. Shenanigans ensue, obviously.
Little does he realize that I have on my disintegration-proof vest. You may fire when ready, Grizzly.
The short got rave reviews, and a sequel was made in 1980, and a Tiny Toons parody of it was made in 1990. In 1994, the original short was listed on Turner Publishing's 50 Best Cartoons at 4th place. So in comes Spike Branda and Tony Cervone in 1997. They saw the potential in reviving Duck Dodgers and worked hard on turning it into a full-blown series. Spike Miranda and Tony Cervone were no strangers to the Looney Tunes or Cartoon Network. Not only were they writers for 1995's The Cartoon Show, but they both also worked on 1996's Space Jam. They expanded on Dodger's character arc, kinda, and added new characters like resident Chad Star Johnson. The first season was released in 2003, receiving positive reviews, and a second was ordered. The second was intended to be the last, but Cartoon Network ordered a third. Then they canceled it and aired the last episodes on Boomerang to forget their decision. We'll get to how that turned out later. However, two unsung heroes of the show, at least according to a large portion of its cult fan base, were Paul Dini and Tom Minton, credited as the producers for the first two seasons. Both had more creative work on their resumes by the 2000s, with Dini having served as a writer for the two 90s Batman shows, and also creating Harley Quinn, and Minton writing and storyboarding for Mighty Mouse, The New Adventures, and Animaniacs. When they left the show after the second season, it fucking showed. But again, more on that later. But after 2006, the show just vanished. It aired reruns on Boomerang back when the channel was actually good until March of 2010. And that's how I found the show. Before it was taken off syndication, I got my hands on 6 of the episodes from season 3. And I got hooked. I'd watch those episodes over and over again in my parents' bedroom. And I watched even more when I found them on YouTube. This makes me old, doesn't it? And remember this? tyr'ahnee, which I used on my first DeviantArt account and some other places, was named after a character from an obscure Cartoon Network show none of y'all have heard about. It was from this show that I took my secondary name. That's how much it meant to me. As I grew up, however, I started to repress my young adolescence. I was obsessed with this show and others to an unhealthy degree. You'll see what I mean when I get into it. So I stopped watching it and moved on to other ventures. But it's been 10 years since I was first attached to it. Today, at the ripe age of 20, I want to put this part of me to peace. Let's dive in and see what this show is all about. I dreamt about you again last night. It was the day we were to be wed. I was wearing that pastel green gown you adored so much and carrying a bouquet of the finest earth flowers. Your eyes teared up as I walked down the aisle, and I could almost make out you saying, "This is it. I'm finally marrying my one true love." But as we were to exchange our vows, you vanished out of thin air. Poof! I was devastated. My heart sank to my stomach and I was worried I'd throw up. I awakened shortly afterwards, and all I could think about was your name. Dodgers. Dodgers, my love, my one and only. We were close to marriage many times, but you always broke my heart at the end. Yet, I still loved you.
Because I know most of y'all aren't familiar with the show, let me introduce to you the main characters first.
The Chad. Captain Duck Edgar Dumas Aloysius Elgin Dodgers, or just Dodgers for short. He's basically Daffy Duck in space, but dumber, and slightly less of an anti-hero. But think about his position. He's a moron who, through sheer unpredictability, completely obliterates the Martians. It's fucking genius and says a lot about how society has changed in the 2350s. The virgin, eager young space cadet. He's the ace who ensures Dodgers doesn't, cannibalize his own or something. He's beaten up a lot, but takes it in stride. Does that make him a beta male instead? Discuss. Then we have IQ High. Yes, really. He's like the commander / higher up for Dodgers. He's also a scientist. That's all you need to know. Oh, he did free Dodgers thinking he was some 20th century hero. Oh lordy. Chad Star Johnson, as I've mentioned before, also exists. He's Zap Brannigan without the ego and incompetence. That's it. And now let's go. to Mars! We have Marvin Commander X2. X2 is rather competent, but has no respect from his sentient robot army. He is also a lot like Sailor Jupiter in terms of hidden depths.
For instance, I'm a novice gourmet chef. Did you know that? And I sculpt clay unicorns.
Let's do this!
Huh? Let's do what now?
You know what? Clean up this big mess, of course.
And we've got... Oh, Lord. I have to sink my teeth into this and reveal more of my embarrassing past. Yay!
This is tyr'ahnee, the Martian Queen, and my absolute obsession from 2010 to 2013. She is the leading voice of reason in the show and the main source of fan service, resulting in my first exposure to fetish art.
But that's not all. I wrote fanfics where I was her secret daughter, long-lost princess of Mars, Madison Losette, trapped in 21st century Earth with my younger twin brother, Niall, who was based off a boy I went to elementary school with, whom I will not name. I made my own little world in my head revolving around her. I would have space adventures with all of the palace staff, and even witness my mom giving birth to her 4th child. I was in deep psychosis, I tell you. It was scary. And that's why this video is me making peace with my childhood. It was an obsession, an addiction, and I don't want to associate this good show with my delusional past.
I don't remember how long I've been stuck here, but I do remember what happened. I was standing on my balcony after working out, and I saw you bloodied and beaten by the great Satyrs. I jumped and raced to your aid, brandishing my sword to slaughter the beast once and for all. But then I was struck by it and fainted. And when I woke up, I was in the middle of this park, and it took me days to realize I was blasted back to the ancient year of 2020.
The first episode was The Trial of Duck Dodgers. It's considered the 3rd episode in some circles, but canonically, this as the first episode makes more sense, so we'll be going with that. Deal with it. And for reference on how much I've repressed this show, I spent 10 minutes after the opening theme on Discord and looking at Pop-Tarts memes. But I digress.
We start with Dodgers explaining his backstory in more detail, establishing him as a 20th century relic who became a captain for what they call the Galactic Protectorate, but due to recent events, I'm gonna call it the Space Force. Deal with it. And now he's on trial. For what? Let's find out.
I charge Duck Dodgers with gross incompetence and the dereliction of duty in fighting the Martians.
After IQ does a shitty witness testimony, we learn the story. Dodgers was assigned to do moon patrol, aka night guard camping by the moon to prevent Martian attacks. This goes as well as you think.
Wait, what does he do in that bathroom? Engine noises? Why, there shouldn't be another ship for Miles.
So Dodgers attempts to flee in panic, but remember that X2 is actually competent and fucks up the Earth ship. The cadet attempts to illegally deploy the emergency shields for the planet and actually succeeds.
And the shield is ready to be energized now.
JK! The shield is fucked.
We cut back to present day, revealing that a freak accident stopped this attack. Dodgers claims he himself was the cause of the accident. How?
I call my one and only surprise witness, the Martian Queen.
I sure hope Dodgers knows what he's doing.
IQ, does Dodgers ever know what he's doing? He's calling the enemy as a witness and is giving me awkward flashbacks. And it takes about 10 seconds for Dodgers to fuck up.
Don't try and pull any of your Martian tricks. Identify yourself.
Now, normally, someone would slap him for his bullshit. But we have the rest of the story to cover.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to see is a compilation of Protectorate and Martian holorecords that will reveal the truth. What's in the hold?
473,000 pounds of russet Idaho potatoes.
Potatoes.
I guess the Earth really is doomed.
Maybe. But then again, maybe not. Meet me in the cargo hold. And don't forget your potato peeler.
Yep, they're gonna use potatoes to stop the Martians. How? The cadet peels every single potato and piles them into the launcher while stalling the Martians, who are choosing their weapons.
The weapons are ready, Commander.
On my command!
Fire!
Dodgers launches the potatoes into the Martian firing holes, resulting in it raining chips! Hooray!
It's raining men! Hallelujah, it's raining men!
So Dodgers is acquitted. The end. This episode shows something about his character. He's lazy, vain, and stupid. But he can actually save the Earth despite his misadventures, resulting in a hilarious show.
And the fun of it is that it's the Looney Tunes in space! They subvert every expectation of a sci-fi show, and I live for it.
Throughout this season, he also is called to a slug planet, freezes them before learning they aren't the invaders and that these hot bug ladies are. He then tries to sleep with them. They instead try to cook him and return to their true forms after some BDSM jokes. The cadet is then forced to save a robot assistant named Roboto and uses him as a slave, but soon calls him friend. They invade a Martian battle station and it goes well because Roboto. So Dodgers comes to resent him. This results in a series of misadventures until Roboto sacrifices himself by flying into a meteor. And yes, this was a parody of the Iron Giant. He uses his ship's energy to vandalize an asteroid, which causes him to lose power. After allegedly 2 years of no one coming to find them, Dodgers gets cadet to dress and drag to distract X2 while he steals another engine, though I'd personally find it requested by the President of Outer Space to transfer an attractive special agent to a Martian-controlled planet. He falls in love with her and grows about as clingy as you'd expect from a man duckling. Thus, Cadet is forced to repeatedly defeat the Martians. That's all I have for this episode. The video broke halfway through. Fox conducts an experiment, thus releasing a virus where he and Cadet quickly grow older, so they must break into the Martian palace to try and reverse the effects. X2 is also there, and as a result of the virus, quickly grows younger. Shenanigans ensue. There's some subversive comedy, and the first reveal of X2's love for tyr'ahnee, which is sweet. Gets hypnotized by a Dracula ripoff that feeds on fat instead of blood because it's a kid's show and it needs to be TVY7. The vampire forces Dodgers to try and get him to lure the Cadet into his fat trap. Apparently Cadet has also cured world hunger, and that's never brought up again. Anyway, shenanigans ensue.
And more, including a hilarious Green Lantern parody I highly recommend.
Then, one day, Dodgers is kidnapped by tyr'ahnee! Will he be killed? Tortured? Well...
Stop this outrage! He is your future king!
So, spoiler, tyr'ahnee is in love with Dodgers. I'm not kidding. This seems to come out of left field, but it works. Okay, hear me out.
In the first episode, it's established that Mars has the power to destroy Earth and kill Dodgers. tyr'ahnee herself never orders X2 or anyone to do so. Why? Well, she sees his obvious incompetence as some kind of grand scheme to win her heart, and given that he saves the day at times, she isn't that wrong about his accomplishments. After all, if Earth was destroyed, Dodgers would die and she would be heartbroken.
And, as a child, I shipped it. I thought they were super cute together and that Dodgers would make a great stepfather. Having 3 children with her as cute little half-siblings I could also go on adventures with. Moving on.
In the episode before this, Quarterback Quack, she orders X2 to go back in time, not to kill Dodgers, but to prevent him from winning a football game, something relatively minor in historical context.
I'm not saying that the implementation is perfect. It opens up a few plot holes, more if you assume X2 is always following tyr'ahnee's orders, but this arc is hilarious and heartbreaking. So let's dissect it.
One thing I didn't notice until rewatching this is that tyr'ahnee is quick to assume Dodgers would accept her affections. That's a bit yandere-ish. But I can forgive that, as she has shown bits of cruelty before. After all, she ordered his kidnapping. She didn't just waltz down to his house and confess her feelings. Dodgers gets on board, though, when he realizes he'll get power and wealth. But there's a catch.
But before we wed, you must face 3 Martian trials.
Ha!
That's right, 3 trials to get in this space babe's bed. This'll be a piece of cake. So after pinging a surprisingly unworried cadet, we learned that X2 was demoted to Dodger's slave. Wait, how does the Martian military hierarchy work? No, wait, tyr'ahnee said she'd punish him for hurting her beloved. This makes sense. Moving on, we get to the first trial, the test of combat. Dodgers must face the Cyclops Satyr hybrid, the Satops, for the Queen's heart. Now, we know Dodgers is weak, and unathletic, and an all-around loser. So how does he do it?
Say, did you ever notice the unsightly wax buildup in your ears?
Huh?
I can help you out.
Yeah?
Sure can, Bright Eye. Just one scrape with this electro-swabby doohickey will fix you up as easy as 1, 2, 3.
That's right, he pulls a Bugs Bunny and crushes him by trickery. Hey, it wasn't the test of physical combat, wink. Next comes the test of endurance. Dodgers and his slave must travel through the scorching Martian desert. Can he do it without water? Well,
I said, do we have any water?
No water, Master.
Oh. Well, I guess I'll just have to eat these babies dry.
What?
yes, Dodgers, it's time for some salty snacks without water. To be fair, Mars is farther from the sun than Earth. The heat probably isn't as unbearable.
And also, he has a timeshare in Palm Springs. Really.
How do you do it?
What's the heat? This is nothing. I've got a timeshare in Palm Springs.
Hey, I get it. I've been to Palm Springs before. It's all desert, but a lovely place. I'd go there again.
Then comes the test of logic. Dodgers has to beat these 3 wise sages in one of those card flash games. Does he do it?
Show me the lucky lady.
Right here, Chief. I guess all those years I spent as a transient carnival worker finally paid off.
Yep, he used to work as a cardie too. He did it! Yay! But X2 has a trick up his sleeve. He convinces Dodgers that he must oversee the methane farms of Uranus. Disgusted, he ditches the Queen and returns to his job. The status quo is restored, right? Well, no! The next episode is semi-filler, but a good view of how tyr'ahnee's view of Dodgers changed. Dodgers goes to Planet Hollywood, so the stereotypically sleazy producer can make a movie based on his memoir. In reality, the producer has been tasked with killing Dodgers in exchange for Martian movie funding. This is the first episode in the series where the Martians explicitly task someone with killing him. It goes about as well as you'd think. After that, we get The Queen is Wild. tyr'ahnee is obviously pissed about being broken up with, and since Planet Hollywood failed, she chooses to take matters in her own hands and kidnaps the cadet after coping by continuously murdering robot ducks. So she and the real Dodgers duke it out on the planet Frigonia 7. He acts as you'd expect in a serious situation.
Of course, not quite bigger than life, but you get the concept.
Let me reiterate. The Queen has dressed in her sexy battle armor to take her revenge on Dodgers, and he's not taking her seriously at all. That's the genius of this show, making serious things silly. You'd expect him to go all Bethesda Fallout on her, but nope! He beats her just by throwing an icicle at her, then shooting down the cell cadets in. Then they have an epic, high-speed space chase, ending up in a space cloud. tyr'ahnee hesitates to finish him because she still loves him, but Dodgers uses it as a tactical advantage, disabling her ship instead of reconciling with her. A depressing end to an otherwise hilarious episode.
And after some contemplation, she decides to take him back. Unfortunately, this isn't really developed, which brings us to...
How are you doing without me, my love? Reckon you must be as heartbroken as I am. But I can't know for sure, after all. You've broken my heart many, many times. I can't even count the times you left me at the altar anymore. Whenever you were away, however, there was one guy who was always there to wipe my tears. Overall, Season 2 takes advantage of much more sources for the sake of comedy, unlike just the Looney Tunes. The season premiere, Pig Planet, for example, takes humor from an unexpected side of Cadet in that he's a prince from a planet populated by pigs. Punny! It's a fun episode where we learn more about Cadet's personal morals and how he's not much for captain material. They even have a funny sequence of fantastic racism.
All right, spread out. What's gotten into you walking pork chops?
They engage in a lot of parody too. Invictus Interruptus puts Dodgers in a position to destroy a Death Star parody, which is even lampshaded.
Another delusional fan trying to emulate the famous trench scene.
It doesn't do much in terms of the long-term narrative, but it's still hilarious. It also includes a lot of meta-humor, which is mostly from Dodgers himself. It's like he assumes that everything going on is just a show and that there are no real consequences for his actions, which entirely justifies his irrational behavior. The two best episodes in the season before the finale are The Love Duck and Samurai Quack.
The Love Duck is a parody of a 70s show kids have probably never heard of, The Love Boat. All you need to know about it is that it's about the romantic and comedic adventures on a luxury cruise ship. Ask your boomer friends about it. So the episode involves Dodgers while on a normal delivery run, learning about how profitable luxury cruises are. He uses this to take advantage of rich people to get that sweet cash dough. It's always sunny in Philadelphia while trying to ensure IQ doesn't know anything. The cadet even shows his skills as the ace, and Dodgers comes up with various ways to fuck up and manages to get chased by X2. I'm not gonna spoil the jokes, just watch this episode, it's hilarious. Samurai Quack is exactly what it says on the tin, a Samurai Jack parody with help from the show's creator himself. After Dodgers passes out for bad sushi, he enters the world of Samurai Jack as, well, Samurai Quack. And this is one of the very, very rare occasions I'll recommend a Mysterious Mr. Enter video. He does a good job, for once, at dissecting this episode. This leads us to... The commander has been there every time Dodgers broke my heart. He wiped away my tears, sympathized with my pain, and helped me back on my feet. We were even to be wed once, but I just couldn't get over Dodgers. I dreamt the night before, frolicking on a beach with him, running and laughing and playing, but Dodgers rejected me yet again at the altar, and that time you weren't there to comfort me. I guess I deserved it. I did break your heart.
The original series finale wrapped the series up in a lovely bow, establishing one of the best instances of character development, conflict, and resolution I've seen. Let's take a look at it, shall we?
It starts with a grand opportunity, a peace treaty between Earth and Mars. It's a historical event with the President of Outer Space, Star Johnson, IQ, and his brother, PsyQ, and probably more members of the Space Force! And then we meet a new character, General Z9 of the Martian Empire. And here's one of my few problems with this episode. Z9 is brand new, never seen or mentioned before. Spoiler, he's the antagonist of the story, and I really don't know what his motivations are. Power, perhaps? What caused him to be the villain he was? It's quite sad, especially since I'm a sucker for character arcs.
It saddened me in my childhood too, so I made my own backstory for him. Z9 was tyr'ahnee's former lover and the biological father of Madison and Niall. She broke up with him shortly after falling pregnant, which angered him as he thought they were meant to be. His motive is to get revenge over a broken heart, obtaining a new identity and moving up in her ranks without her knowing.
Dodgers is on his way to the treaty with Pence after having to fight nose aliens after insulting them. And we see his thoughts on the upcoming ceremony.
But if there's peace, the defense budget will be cut. There'll be layoffs, downsizing. I could lose my job.
Yeah, he's self-aware that he could become a disposable asset once the treaty is signed. What does he do? He fucks with the Pens, but not before this bit.
Whether at war or in peace, I shall always loathe you.
You shall always love me. Ew.
I said loathe, you idiot.
This sets up a chain reaction that'll go down in history as one of the funniest, saddest, and heartwarming series finales in history.
Tragedy is soon traced to Dodgers himself, unfortunately. Cadet promises him to take the blame, which Dodgers takes to the extreme, resulting in the former's arrest and imprisonment, breaking the poor fellow in a 21st century prison. Meanwhile, Star Johnson, remember him, has been sent to Mars in order to negotiate the treaty. Z9 intervenes with his new Chad power and says he will only work with Dodgers. He has also apparently reprogrammed all the robots? Holy fuck, how much trust is tyr'ahnee putting in him and his humanoid robot female sidekick? Dodgers is promoted to Admiral, despite having a tinge of regret in his heart. How? Z9 convinced IQ to do so. If this doesn't spell evil scheme, I don't know what will.
See you on Mars tomorrow, when you and I will sign the peace treaty between our worlds.
Note that Z9 said tomorrow. Everything you're about to see goes down in 2 enticing, glorious days. Unless the writers couldn't do math. But I digress.
As a result, IQ is contractually obligated to give Dodgers the defense codes to access Earth through its shield. He is not supposed to trust any Martian with any of them until the peace treaty is signed. Coincidentally, this suitcase is also what Dodgers uses to keep his laundry intact. We'll get to why that's important later. So Star Johnson is, I don't know, when he finds out Z9 and sexy robot's evil plan. Oh noes!
Interplanetary conquest is on schedule. The Earthling Duck is an imbecile who will unwittingly surrender his planet to my rule.
He tries to alert everyone, but he is caught and sent to prison as well. How fitting. However, X2 catches wind of this and sheds a tear, showing his love for the Queen. That night, Dodgers is haunted by what he did to Cadet, and goes to see PsyQ High.
I can't sleep. I'm up all night watching 350-year-old reruns of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Thoughts of self-loathing won't leave me alone. What can I do?
After discussing his love for Melissa Joan Hart, Psy links their minds together to try and find out what's wrong. This goes as well as you think.
Sweeties, ladies, dames, chicks, Melissa Joan Hart.
He does see the light at the end of the tunnel, though, after being hit with a board. Really.
Therapy, not yet approved by the Galactic Food and Drug Administration.
If I'm ever gonna be able to live with myself, I have to save my bestest pal in the whole galaxy. Cadet.
Speaking of, Cadet finally snaps in prison and somehow becomes top bitch by the time Star Johnson arrives. Meanwhile, X2 tries to warn the Queen, but it's too late! Z9 is on the verge of stealing the throne and attacks him, then imprisons the Queen. Dodgers then, in a rare act of bravery, fights tooth and nail to reclaim his ship. After much stress, he manages to escape in Part 2 by destroying the magnet that tried to eat him alive. Then, he manages to save X2 for a prison break. Hooray! Meanwhile, tyr'ahnee has been officially captured, and Z9, in his taunts, reveals that X2 has loved her this whole time. End scene.
Why am I always the last to know these things?
Once they get to the prison, Dodgers and X2 are almost killed, but they're discovered by a very broken cadet and a not as broken Star Johnson.
Now hear this, Space Cadet! Rocket leaving for planet Sanity! Boarding now!
Not taking any more orders from you.
As expected, Dodgers is shit at getting Cadet back. He decides to come along to save the day, but doesn't restore their friendship until later. And now it's off to the Martian palace. They all then split up. Dodgers and Cadet go and steal Z9, X2 fights the Queen, and Star hacks into the battle plans. Spoiler, it all works out. We even get another main character in drag. How progressive!
So, General.
Z9 captures the Queen again and steals Dodger's ship in order to actually invade the Earth. But remember those codes IQ entrusted Dodgers with? Z9 got Dodger's laundry instead. This results in a Star War with 2 brick jokes.
Miss me, Tweetums? I'm flattered.
What does Dodgers do in that bathroom?
Dodgers, I loathe you.
You love me? Yuck! What is it with you Martians?
Dodgers decides to sacrifice himself to save the world, and Cadet stays by his side, seeing his changes, and forgives him. And they did it! The ending news report shows the ceasefire going through, X2 and tyr'ahnee establishing a relationship, Z9 getting arrested, and Dodgers being demoted back to captain as a punishment for the whole ink thing.
But this perfection was tarnished by its one arch nemesis. Season 3!
Commander, wherever you are, I am so sorry for breaking your heart. What was the point, given that Dodgers rejected me right after I confessed my feelings? You didn't deserve that pain. You're a sweet, sweet man who deserves nothing but the best. Do you still love me? I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't. I mean, I've chased the same man for years and years without much success. Dodgers was a hero, in my defense, and he won my heart with his wits and charm. When I'm back, perhaps I'll give you a call.
Yeah, they renewed the show for a 3rd season for reasons, which meant that the grand finale had to be retconned, which meant that we got Till Doom Do Us Part. So how do they do it? They actually managed to pull it off. Kinda. So here's how it goes down.
Dodgers, bored with the ceasefire, hits up X2 just as he's proposing to tyr'ahnee.
You're marrying him?
Can you give me a reason not to?
Well, I can give you thousands of reasons.
Because you helped to bring us together by creating problems that we could deal with as a couple, I was wondering, would you be my best man?
Nah, I hate weddings.
Spoiler, he'll take up the best man opportunity later. Remember that.
Then we meet our villain, or should I say, villains. They bring back several from the previous seasons, including Roboto. Yep, he finally realized that Dodgers hated him and attempted to kill him. So he bands together a bunch of people, including one of the sexy bug ladies and the fat-sucking vampire, who have also been wronged by Dodgers, as well as Black Eel, who has no idea who Dodgers is and has a bitter rivalry with Seaman. Okay then, the first attempt at killing Dodgers comes when Cadet shows off his sudden new hobby, teaching randoms about caverns. This goes about as well as you think. But IQ is nearly killed and Cadet is badly injured. And as IQ is AWOL for the rest of the episode, Cadet convinces Dodgers to take up X2's offer, giving a new plan to the Legion of Duck Doom. Hooray!
This! Roboto always has a meteor for special occasions. The Legion of Duck Doom will use this remote control to send Meteor to Mars and crush Duck Dodgers. Then Legion will help themselves to cake.
That night, tyr'ahnee and Roboto both have a change of heart, realizing they both love Dodgers. Of course, in different ways, as this is 2005 and LGBT representation in kids shows wasn't mainstream yet, but you get my point. The wedding goes on, though, until Roboto warns Dodgers that his former friends were after him. This results in an epic battle, until the meteor is close. Roboto kills himself to save Dodgers from his own creation,
Dodgers' friend.
and the others get arrested. And tyr'ahnee? She calls off the wedding, declaring she loves Dodgers more. He takes this rather well.
Nothing personal, but Duck Dodgers is strictly bachelor material. Why do you think I threw myself that bachelor party last night? Don't worry, Queen. Someday you'll find a fellow who's almost as good as me. If you're not too old by then.
And thus, the peace treaty ends and everything goes back to normal.
Now, this would have been a wonderful epilogue were it not for the two major retcons, Dodgers' behavior and the peace treaty. If this were just a surprise special where some villains returned and attempted to kill a changed Dodgers, I wouldn't be so upset about it. But as a result of its actions, the season feels subpar.
At this point, Denny and Minton left the show, and Brenda and Cervone took a step back. They were still supervising Duck Dodgers and his adventures, but weren't involved in the actual writing, from what I can tell. This caused the series to stagnate and not be as clever or as funny as it used to be. Don't get me wrong, it still had its moments, but it became the shambling corpse of what it once was. Aside from a few surprisingly creative episodes we just don't have the time to get into. And then the show just ended. After it was pulled from syndication, Warner Bros. Tried to forget about its existence. But fortunately, in 2013, the first 2 seasons were released on DVD. It took another 7 years for them to release season 3, but the entire series was also put on Amazon Prime Video in 2017. You need the Boomerang add-on to actually watch it, but it's the thought that counts, I guess. Commander, you were wonderful to me. You always treated me like your one and only. You loved me for me, and not just for my body or power. Perhaps we were meant to be together after all. Oh my, have I loved you this whole time? As I said before, the show left a deep impact on me, especially in regards to comedy and storytelling. It taught me that you can develop a comic relief, make parodies that are still faithful to the source material, and how to connect two seemingly unrelated plot lines.
Sure, I sucked at all three initially, but this is what got the ball rolling. This was the show that got me into writing. This was the show that inspired me to create my own characters. This was the show that made me want to pursue a creative career. Hell, the meta humor and parody was what initially got me to reenact other people's fan fictions, such as a certain Ryan Elliott Stevens getting adopted by her daddy, Adam Lambert, and going on adventures with her favorite rock band. And regardless of its bumps along the way, I'll always love this show, even if I haven't been obsessed with it for years.
I have loved you this whole time, Commander. I am so sorry to have rejected you before. If only I could find a way to confess to you. Is this for me? Is this my reward for finally finding my love? If so, I'll take it. I'm coming, my love! I'm coming for you!
I hope you enjoyed that shitty effect at the end of the video. Our next part focuses on Loonatics Unleashed, or as it's better known, Warner Bros. Trying to make the Looney Tunes edgy and failed miserably. While I am not fond of the show today, it still holds a soft spot in my heart. Why? Fuck if I know, I guess I'm just destined to enjoy trash. Oh, and two quick notes before we begin this part. Firstly, the original video showed a famous YouTuber before she came out as a trans woman. That segment has been cut out of respect for her. You aren't missing anything, don't worry, it was just a throwaway joke that I could easily, trim out. And second, this is the part where I start adding some lore. Specifically, I bring in Ryan Elliott Stevens. She's characterized as a psychotic yandere who wants one thing, for her OTP to come to fruition. She was lifted from a long deleted fanfiction I made fun of when I was a senior in high school. And I'll admit it, I'm not the proudest about that side story. It comes out of nowhere and can be mean-spirited at times, and I genuinely regret putting that in this. But hindsight is 20/20, I guess. Ryan's creator, I hope you're doing all right, wherever you are. Let's begin.
What happened? Centurions? Dodgers? Commander?
Hey guys, it's Flowergothic, and I'm here to discuss Loonatics Unleashed.
I'm sorry to bring this up so much, but this was such a weird idea, making an action show out of the comedy-based Looney Tunes.
Not every Saturday morning cartoon needs an edgy, gritty reboot, Warner Brothers.
Just like taking superheroes and making them 100% comedic doesn't work out, taking 100% comedic characters and making them superheroes doesn't work either.
I mean, seriously, this is fucking insane. Why would anyone make this? I have to know!
was also obsessed with this show when I was 10. Why? I have no idea. Did I really think they were cool and with it? Did I, so badly want to be them? I mean, I did idolize them. I wished they had more adventures as my craving for lunatics grew and grew. But it's been 10 years. So let me revisit this beautiful garbage and learn why I was obsessed with this show. This was the only information I was able to find on this show. Please bear with me. In 2003, Warner Bros. Tried to reignite Looney Tunes' popularity with the star-studded Looney Tunes back in action. It was a financial failure. As a result, the studio was at a bit of a standstill. You see, their Disney XPs weren't doing as well as they used to, so they wanted to make them hip with the kids again. What did kids like in the 2000s? Well, kids liked Teen Titans, and Samurai Jack, and The Batman. What did those three shows have in common? They were edgy and serious animations beloved by all humans. Looney Tunes can be edgy too, just you wait! And in 2005, the edgy Looney Tunes were revealed for the first time. They got shitty reviews, resulting in Warner Bros. Doing damage control. I think there was a misunderstanding. They thought we were updating and changing the original Looney Tunes. We love Looney Tunes the way they are. We always thought of these as new and different characters. We always thought about this as an extension of the exciting brand, not a replacement. For some reason, the Warner Bros. Network gave these new characters 26 episodes over 2 seasons, and even a mini preview. Unfortunately, I could only get the audio of the latter to work, so I'm going to reenact what I think the visuals were.
Hey, you gotta check this out. Check what out? The TV.
Scientists are now saying that the giant meteor is going to strike the Earth any second. Earth has fallen off axis. Sightings the giant mutated worms. Supernatural warlords with plans of world domination. The discovery of a hidden dimension. With the world in peril, some say our only hope would be a team of superheroes.
What's up, Doc?
The year 2772. The world threatened by sinister forces of evil. The solution, a superhero team like no other. And that's where I come in. I made a few phone calls and organized this little group. Duck, the weapons expert. Slick, vehicles and surveillance. Roadster, the speed. Lexi Bunny, the disguise expert. Spaz, the muscle. And of course the leader of the pack, the master with his hands, Buzz Bunny. Although you might think these faces are familiar, trust me, this is a whole new world. This is the world of the Loonatics. Coming this fall to Kids WB.
Yeah, it was originally a hell of a lot edgier, because they thought that would fit with the Looney Tunes. Okay. Regardless, Warner Bros. Executives promised big game, including a linear storyline, ample opportunity for comedic pauses, and the holy grail, character development! I myself, at the tender age of 10 through 12, thought they succeeded. I may have initially believed I imagined it after seeing 2 episodes by chance at 7, but I thought they succeeded nonetheless. I adored them so much, especially Ace. He seemed cool and charming, and I even planned for my OC Madison Lucette to get into a relationship with him. At 14, when I assumed he was a legal adult. We'd kiss, have sex the way my tweenage mind thought it worked, and have adorable hybrid children. Yeah, big yikes there. Anyway, let's meet our 5-man band!
What is this?
Oh, good! You're awake!
Who are you? How dare you lock me up like this?
I am Ryan Elliott Stevens. Adam Lambert is my daddy, and I'm best friends with Brian May.
Who?
I've toured the world with Queen and Adam Lambert, and I documented it all in my bestseller, I Will Find You Anywhere You Go. And now, I found you.
You will pay for this!
Pay? But I'm here in good spirits for a joyous celebration. I am giving you my blessing to wed.
What?
I've been studying you for a long time with my daddy's blessing, and now that I know how to transcend time and space, I'm here to officiate your wedding with Duck Dodgers.
I'm not in love with Dodgers anymore, you fiend! Let me go this instant!
Oh, sorry, I thought there was going to be an introduction or something. Let's meet our new Looney superheroes.
The leader, Ace Bunny, changed due to copyright infringement. He's cool, that's all you need to know, apparently. As well as that he tells outrageous jokes, XD! He also knows martial arts and can shoot lasers out of his eyes, because he's cool. The Lancer, Danger Duck. He's pretty much like Daffy Duck, but cooler! He's Ace's foil, as he has a lot of personality. He has teleportation powers and the ability to shoot projectiles in the form of delicious eggs. The smart guy, Techie Coyote? He develops the gadgets for all the other members, and he is obviously nerdy. Thanks to the meteor that hit the planet, he has the abilities of magnetic manipulation and molecular regeneration? They mean healing powers, but they needed it to sound sciencey. He's also the team dad, so there's that. The big guy, Slam Tasmanian. He's a slightly more intelligent Taz, full of brute force energy and the ability to form tornadoes to attack his enemies! He can also control thunder for some reason. That's about it. The chick, Lexi Bunny, who's totally not related to Ace, we promise. She's laid back, agile, and girl! She has supersonic hearing and can use brain blasts. Okay, Jimmy Neutron! And, oh wait, we have a sixth ranger, Rev Runner. He's fast, like Sonic. He's just not as cool, as Ace must be cool. Gotta go fast, like Sonic. That's all there is to him.
We'll get into their backstories, as well as the other characters, as they come. So on with the show!
Why do you even want me to marry Dodgers, you bitch?
No one talks back to me like that, fucker! But to answer your question, my daddy, Adam Lambert, recently introduced me to your show, and I fell in love with it. How are you even able to get Megadeth in the next to last episode? It was fucking genius!
Show? Adam Lambert? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anyway, now that I know how to transcend time and space, I'm here to make my OTP come true! Aside from, well, me and Jay Storman, but you get the idea.
What the fuck is an OTP? What's so funny about that?
Does no one use OTP in the 24th and a half century, Your Highness? It means one true pair. The pair that'll last forever and ever and ever. And I'm here to make it come true.
I'll never let you control me, you bastard!
Oh, really? We'll see about that. In order to preserve the story arc, they decided to not start the series with an introduction episode or even a prologue. I guess the Loonatics were too cool for that.
Instead, we get an ice show. Not a lame one that's at your local ice rink every few years, but an episode with ice villains. Whoop-hoo, let's watch.
This is the hottest year in the history of Acmetropolis. It's triple digits and climbing.
It's over 100 Fahrenheit and no one has died? Global warming is such a myth.
Can anything possibly cool this heat wave off?
Spoke too soon, announcer guy. But yeah, that iceberg will definitely stop the heat. Problem solved! And even freezes the humans to death, solving overpopulation. How convenient! So we cut to Tech eating ice-cold pizza from not Iceland.
Now, which I must say is abnormally cold for this time of year, but if you really like the pizza they have in Iceland...
And we see Ace. He's so cool because he uses his laser eyes to heat the pizza. Then Danger Duck is Daffy Jr.
I need a name that'll fit on the costume.
Lexi is girl and Slam freezes to death. Why couldn't it be Rev? Here we meet the mysterious Zadavia. She's the show's equivalent of Zordon. We learn more about her later in the series, so I won't say much.
The score is too good for this show, damn it! It's epic, well-produced, and establishes what went down in the city planet of Acmetropolis, though in the first few episodes, it's referred to as Earth.
When the meteor hit Earth...
It's the city planet of Acmetropolis.
Thanks to the meteor that hit Earth.
The city planet of Acmetropolis.
Pick one and stick with it!
But the visuals are shit. They use the character models and random show footage as a bizarre kind of stimuli, and keep showing, in all caps, Loonatics Unleashed to ham in that this show isn't fake. It's real, it exists, and you're watching it right fucking now! Oh, and add binary code in the background. Kids will think that's cool. And a counter going forward in time. Even cooler! Then we see another stock photo as the opening logo. And the show begins. Holy fuck, this had too little and too much effort put into it.
Yeah, what's up, Zadavia? Certainly not the temperature.
Equal opportunity for comedic causes. So Zadavia shares what she knows about the situation, and some of the members share their own thoughts.
I knew it. We're gonna lose cable again.
Why do they still have cable in the 28th century? Won't everything be controlled by Disney Flixmax Prime by then?
Also, technically, whenever there is ice on the Earth, or I guess the city planet of Acmetropolis, it's considered an ice age. Just a nitpick. Anyway, Zadavia tasks the Loonatics into melting the iceberg, okay. So we get a look at Tech's actually pretty cool weapons. They're even cooler than Ace. No, wait, Ace is the coolest. He says jokes!
Time to crush some ice. Let's jet.
Anyway, they head off to melt the iceberg.
You look at that thing. It's gotta be the biggest iceberg I've ever seen. I've seen some doozies. Do you think we should have put some more juice in the blaster slip?
Rev, please just die already.
So Tech's shit doesn't work, so they do what they should have done and get slammed to do slave labor, ice melting. And it works! Show over! Yay! We even get an actually funny moment!
Chipping ice isn't a superpower. Quacking is a superpower. Observe! You can stop observing now.
Never mind, apparently the iceberg wasn't Mother Nature's doing. It was robot space Vikings? Points for originality, I guess. Ace snarks at them for a while because he's cool and edgy in the sci-fi action anime with the Looney Tunes. Then he sword fights instead of just using his laser vision for a little bit. Meanwhile, Tech does smart guy tech babble and they all freeze to death. What a tragic end! I mean, at least Rev is dead, but still tragic. No, wait, Duck quacks out of there and slam freeze the rest of the game, including Rev. God damn it. Zadavia calls back and...
I believe the iceberg slipped through one of the interdimensional portals that opened up after the meteor hit.
Wait. What? What the fuck do you mean by interdimensional portals? What does that have to do with the Vikings? This is why you don't start your sci-fi action anime with a filler episode. So long story short, they get on their edgy bikes, kill the interdimensional ice Vikings, and save the day. The end.
What should be apparent now is that the show had no idea whether to focus on story-focused action or loony comedy, so they try and balance it out. This makes neither aspect stand out, and thus muddles the show's story. Whatever it is. Am I supposed to take it seriously or not? How am I supposed to feel after an episode? I'm confused! They also didn't have the budget to make proper action scenes, resulting in animated sequences like these. It's Sonic 06 all over again, just without the shitty gameplay. Normally, action shows will use sudden cuts or flashes to simulate the action. Loonatics Unleashed seems to randomly decide what it wants to do. I'm not going to be too cruel on the animation as a whole, though. Aesthetically, it's rather pleasing and obvious that the crew wanted it to look pretty, but the lip syncing leaves much to be desired.
Chill, Duck. It's not a trip downtown without getting a little takeout.
Anyway, the show relies a lot on filler episodes at first, ripping off the likes of Gremlins and introducing a dark and edgy supervillain who only appears in episode 3. So it's obvious that they also didn't have much of an idea as to what the story would be. The first few villains were all given the backstory of becoming who they were by the meteor striking Earth, the city planet of Acmetropolis. It's like half the crew wanted to be Teen Titans, and the other half wanted to be Darkwing Duck meets Duck Dodgers. The producers, upon being asked which route to take, said yes, and this results in shit like the bet Duck and Tech make about Duck's technology detox being in the same episode where they discuss Black Velvet's tragic origin story. Now, this could have worked if they blended like strawberries and lemonade. It blended like PewDiePie and fascism. So, let's skip to the first plot-based episode, The Comet Cometh. It takes place in 2773, 1 year after the meteor's impact. What else happened then? They tell us, but that would lead to character development, which is apparently illegal here. So what happens on the 1 year anniversary? Another meteor!
This isn't hail. These are rock pellets. They're not even from this planet. It's a meteor shower, and I don't think an umbrella's gonna help.
Sounds about right. How will the lunatics get out of this one? By interpolating it with flashbacks, with ample time for comedic breaks. Yay! Zadavia tasks them into space adventure to stop the meteor. But first, we must re-establish Ace's martial arts prowess.
This is the biggest mission we've ever been on. Gotta be ready for anything.
Yeah, you gotta be ready for flying robots on the space rock. Seems legit. So we learned that Ace used to be a stunt double for action movies. How do they hide the fact it's a rabbit? I don't know. Ace has a mask, but that doesn't hide the truth. I thought digitally adding faces would be perfected by then.
I got some ideas you're gonna love. Now when the robot comes at me, how about I do some of these, huh? A couple of those and one of these.
Ace is so cool, can't you see? He's trying to talk the director into letting him use his super cool martial arts moves. But nope, even the non-sentient robot pisses on him. Why did Ace decide to take up martial arts? How did he become the leader of the Loonatics? I don't know. They kind of skipped that part of the character development. Next, Danger Duck is shown to be a former lifeguard. Wait, no, former pool cleaner. Seems about right for a Daffy Duck clone. We actually learn more about his past later down the line, but alas, we don't see what made him become the pool boy he used to be.
Oh, just put me out of my misery!
I was kidding!
Also, it's the 28th century. Can't robots be janitors already? Lexi is shown, like, immediately after to have been an undergrad at Acmegeddon University. Like Ace, she has a super cool skill! Dancing, because she is girl. She's so good at dancing that the head cheerleader rejects her from the pep squad for being too talented. Take that as a lesson, kids. Perfection is a flaw, and we should all desire to be mediocre. Now, she is the lover of Ace Bunny. They aren't related, we promise. But what was she studying? Did she have anxiety like the flashback implied? I don't know, nor will we ever know. Tech was a senior at Acme Tech.
And you won't be disappointed, sir. Just one last...
Yeah, his senior thesis is so cool, we don't even get to see it before the dean blows it up! What got him into... I don't know. The Loonatics fly in a UFO that fails miserably for about 5 seconds. Then they get hit by space rocks that appear to be... alive? Okay. Also, Lexi is girl.
Everyone, into your intercosmic spacesuits.
Do we get our choice of colors?
Now let's skip to Slam's flashback. He used to be a professional wrestler at the A&W, a WWE knockoff.
The terror from somewhere, Twisted Spinner!
And yes, they missed the opportunity to call him the Tasmanian Devil. Why? Fuck you! But what got him into wrestling? I don't know. Anyway, back to the present. The Loonatics decide to go all in on Armageddon and blow up the meteor. Now, as this is the year 2773, I will forgive the scientific inaccuracies as technology has probably improved, though they still use flip phones and wired earbuds. Oh wait, we need to look at Rev's backstory. Damn it! He used to be a delivery boy for Jimmy John's. That's right, the shipback Kekistanians might have triggered the third apocalypse in 2109, but at least we still have Jimmy John's, the superior sandwich shop.
We guarantee a free lunch if they don't get their order in 30 minutes. You got 5 minutes left to get it there. Otherwise, I take it out of your pay.
So Rev thankfully fails to get the delivery there at Jimmy John time, then gets hit by the meteor. He doesn't die, though. Fuck! Long story short, they blow up the meteor, save the day, yada yada yada. But we see the true villain, this guy.
Twice I have attempted to destroy Acmetropolis, but the third time will be the charm.
So, he wants to destroy Acmetropolis, but why? What or who does he want? Well, that's for a future episode.
There's one more episode I want to go over before we get to the season finale, The Menace of Mastermind. This one is a good example of how the show sucks balls at cohesive storytelling. So let's dive in.
It starts with the Dean of Acme Tech introducing Mallory Mastermind to the new guard for reasons and retcons a previous episode almost immediately.
And she would have succeeded if not for a quick-thinking grad student.
Are you going to demonstrate your senior thesis or not?
Yes.
Mallory has the ability to manipulate metal, thus allowing her to escape with the use of a fountain pen. But oh, not only does Mallory have a backstory, she has a history with one of the Loonatics. Tech specifically. So what happened? Before the meteor hit, Tech Tech was a grad student, despite doing a senior thesis the day the meteor hit.
Are you going to demonstrate your senior thesis or not?
Yes.
At Acme Tech. With her. Well, specifically, he was her tutor. They were working on a machine together until...
But I discovered that she had modified the device to transfer knowledge from other people's brains into her own. The university staff were going to be her guinea pigs.
So, what does Tech do? He deactivates the device, but she gets hit by... the science, I guess, and becomes a supervillain.
Some problems arise here, aside from the aforementioned retcon. This backstory does not allow us to sympathize with Mallory or Tech, as there is an obvious black and white dilemma. Maybe if it was just an experiment gone wrong and Tech couldn't save her pure uwu soul in time, I'd be more invested. But nope! Fuck character development! That's illegal! Also, why didn't Tech just reprogram the machine before Mallory demonstrated it? Did he find out too late? Did he forget? This tale has more holes than a moth-eaten shirt from 1987.
To summarize the rest of the story, Mallory hacks into the Loonatics HQ and tortures the Fab Five in Rev for a bit. She gets defeated when the electricity is disabled.
And now let's look at the season finale.
Before I came back, before this bitch tried to rob me of my spirit, there was a young person who found me a hiding place. Her hair and clothes were almost black, contrasting with her pale eyes and lips. She didn't judge me for my looks at all, and instead helped me up and held me. She didn't judge me for my looks at all, and instead helped me up. "Aren't you afraid of me?" I asked. "Not at all," she said. "You remind me of someone I admired long ago." She directed me to a park where I could blend in during festivals and camp out in the outdoor theater. No one questioned me after that, and I am in her debt no matter what she says. What was her name, though? The episode begins with a new max security prison, and we get to see 4 faces from previous episodes. We already know Mallory, but let me go over the other 3 real quick. Weathervane, she worked for weather reporter Misty Breeze before becoming the weather herself. She tries to destroy the city multiple times, but the Loonatics beat her. Also, Danger Duck is a simp.
Anybody who insults Misty Breeze insults Danger Duck. Excuse me, Bubblehead, but as Misty Breeze's biggest fan, I'm gonna have to ask that you apologize.
Massive. He's this humanoid, giant, blue man who controls gravity and uses that to rob banks for the hell of it. Also, they have an XP of Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. They exchange terrible puns.
Don't you know the cost of being heroes is rising? Now for a hero sandwich. Need some condiments?
Until the Loonatics stop him by attempting a bizarre sting operation and fail. They then, after a potential racial stereotype,
Think you can win tonight?
Oh man, we're the best team in the league. We're gonna mangle the manglers, man.
manage to beat him at a roller baseball game? Okay. Cypher. His specialty is stealing powers. Don't know how. He steals the Loonatics' powers, so Tech makes some cool suits for them to have their powers. Then they get their powers back. Anyway, they get their own personal guard. Danger Duck? Why did anyone agree to this?
You're all wasting your time if you're hoping to bust out. This ultra-high security transport tube is taking you to an even more ultra-high security penitentiary.
They immediately get freed by a spinny thing, because of course they do. The villainous four get brought to a space rock, totally unharmed by any of the elements. And hey, remember this dude? Yeah, he's back, and his name is Optimus Prime, Optimatus. He is now canonically our main villain. Why did we get about 10 episodes of Villain of the Day in a story-driven cartoon? IDK LOL. Optimatus wants to kill the Loonatics, and in return, he'll betray them. Wait, no, he'll give them some shares in the stock market or something. He's super vague about it. All of them, except Cypher, who is just being an asshole, eventually agrees.
Meanwhile,
I'm doomed.
It's not really good, even though it made your body feel even worse because you know it makes you look the kind you want to be.
Rev, please just die already.
Zadavia orders the lunatics to find the now escapees and is oh so mysterious about who she thinks is responsible.
I suspect.
Suspect what, Zadavia?
I must go.
We even see her undersea hideout where she monologues and totally doesn't give away that she and Optimatus have a connection. Fucking hell, these writers can't even spell subtle. So Duck decides to look for them and Ace agrees, under the condition that Rev comes with him. Oh no.
Let's move out.
You're just keeping him busy.
Tech, give me a full planet scan.
They find Cypher at the zoo to... what?
I get to swipe their natural abilities. The kangaroo's hop, the falcon's speed, and the grizzly bear's strength.
Come on! You should have expected that! He did that to y'all!
So the other enemigos show up and fuck shit up in the good old low-budget way.
Master villains 1, superheroes 0.
The lunatics get imprisoned in Mallory's old cell, which is now completely impenetrable thanks to her efforts. Cypher attempts to talk the others into letting him have their powers, but luckily no one trusts him. Meanwhile, Mallory and co break into the Lunatics HQ and put the Automa drive in just as the other two return.
So open this door now, or else...
Access granted.
Also, new Acme, lost Acme, what the fuck? Zadavia manages to tell the two to flee, which they do after much struggle. And the villains being terrible at their jobs. Rev manages to immediately figure the situation out, somehow, while Tech and Ace try to deactivate the cell. Once Duck and Rev arrive, it manages to work out until Cypher steals Duck's powers. He stopped in his power robbery by the code, which Tech knows because...
Mastermind's locker combination?
Yeah, we shared one in college. It's a long story.
Sharing a locker with... Wait, did Tech and Mallory fuck? So they do some flashy fighting in the Fab Five, plus Rev escape by elevator. And Tech's powers, why didn't he use them in Massive's episode? I don't know. Optimatus, disappointed in their efforts, calls the villains back to Metro World. Duck tags along because Cypher still has his powers. The end. No, wait, we get to see Zadavia in the flesh.
It's Zadavia.
In the flesh.
Just without the fun. Then we get the reveal!
I'm not surprised. After all, he is my brother.
Oh no! How couldn't we have seen this before? They had a connection! And that was part 1. A beautiful mess that tried to balance comedy and drama, failing at both. Hurrah! So part 2 begins. Ace does a cool...
So, Chief, you gonna spill the beans?
Zadavia explains her tragic anime backstory. Zadavia is an alien from the planet Freelink. She and Optimatus were raised to rule as a pair, which went as well as you think.
Now that we control the power of interdimensional transport, we must use this power to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, and then conquer them all.
My brother calls for a perpetual war, one that will bring shame to our people and ruin to our planet.
Yep, Optimatus wanted to do an imperialism. We could have made him hella rounded, but the writers don't know how to draw circles. So this planet seems to have a parliament, but instead of prime ministers and shadow cabinets, it's just a pair of kings duking it out. Anyway, the Parliament agrees with Zadavia, and Optimatus takes as well.
Fearing I would lead a revolt against him, he came after me. As I was making my getaway, he was accidentally caught in the heat of the ship's exhaust.
Yeah. After Zadavia flees to Earth, or the city planet of Acmetropolis, Optimatus sends a meteor to kill her, which is why it hit the water.
I was able to slow down the meteor, saving Acmetropolis from destruction.
And the second meteor too, which Zadavia couldn't slow for reasons.
So, I have questions. Did Zadavia's parents know Optimatus was a bad seed, or did power just go to his head? If the latter is true, why didn't we learn his true backstory? Why is this info being dumped on us in the season finale? Moving on.
They use Zadavia's ship to enter hyperspace, and we get updated on America's favorite home villains.
What an annoying creature.
Are you going to get rid of him now?
I shall have one of my Optiforces look after you.
Optimatus, why don't you want to kill Duck? You're just setting yourself up for later. So we get a look at some freelance technology, revealing some exposition.
My planet's technology is based on a universal code. It can be used to run anything.
And suddenly, we have an asteroid attack! Zadavia kills them all because she's alien. Then she's captured. Hurrah! At least Rev dies afterwards.
Eject! Eject now! Oh no, they didn't have a chance. He was the best leader.
Oh, and Ace, my first crush. No. And it would have been a super dramatic moment if not for...
There's nothing left.
Who you calling nuttin'?
Of course they escaped. Fuck. And of course Lexi and Ace are love interests now. Hurrah! So Danger Duck plays a Guile hero asking for a magically resizing water cup to destroy his cell with facts and logic. And the robot too. Cool.
Meanwhile, now you shall pay for your defiance. Watch and learn what happens to those who disappoint me. Are you comfortable?
Not in the slightest.
Good.
Optimatus tries to kill Zadavia and does a betrayal, because of course he does, there's no subtlety in this crackfic. And from this trap card, Duck anticlimactically gets his powers back, they reuse a clip from episode 1 for no reason, and Duck frees Zadavia. Hurrah! And the others come in and kill all the robots. Cool! One sibling battle later, Acmetropolis is saved, restored to its pre-meteor condition somehow, and go home in Optimatus's dragon ship.
And that was season 1. A beautiful mess. A bizarre mess. A beautiful, bizarre mess. Too bad they realized their mistakes and made some changes. They did not kill Rev Runner though. Boo! Oh my queen! I've gotten all the venue bullshit set up. The flowers are being placed, the lighting is being fixed, and I even got my daddy Adam Lambert to play music at the reception.
Oh, really? That girl, what was her name?
Now it's time for you to try on your dress.
Dress? It was a rather unusual name. It might have even been a pseudonym.
Yes, you gotta look your best for the love of your life.
Well, we don't wear white to our weddings. Females are supposed to wear pastels of pink or blue or...
That dress cost me $60 on Amazon. You better wear it.
Okay, I'll wear the stupid dress. What was her name? What was her name? Season 2 takes a much wackier tone as the writers realized in the 7 months of Season 1 that the balance was not a good idea. So what did they do? They pulled some Looney Tunes out of Warner Bros. Basement dungeon and initiated damage control. This is most obvious by the new theme song.
Yep, you heard that right. It's a wrap now. Hooray!
This time, however, they didn't use stock photos. Instead, they show uncut footage to the tune of a 50-year-old man who is 2 beats behind.
Ace is cool and leads the pack.
sword strikes them back.
It's visually creative, but it sounds like a shit sandwich.
So to show how funny they've become, the first episode starts with Ace unable to decide on an ice cream.
I think I'll have a double scoop of mint chocolate chip. Oh, no. Make that a double vanilla fudge ripple.
Next, we get a ghost train and our first Looney Bin villain, Orpheus Sam. Ace tries to fight him on his own, but we get to see a new character, Deuce. He's cool. He's voiced by the guy who voices Cyborg.
Call it a hunch.
So he gives Ace a triangle shield to beat Sam. But there's a wormhole straight ahead. Oh yeah, did I mention there was a wormhole straight ahead? There's a wormhole straight ahead. Jump! Ace implies he got a dick injury.
I got bruises to show for it in places I don't like to show.
Zadavia returns after he monologues about his sword.
It was given to me when I got into the action hero business.
Yeah. Guess how important the sword's gonna be in this episode?
Zadavia implies, however, that Deuce isn't to be trusted.
Let's just say Deuce and I have had our differences in the past.
Perhaps I should leave.
Not perhaps. Definitely.
Oh wait, did I say imply? I meant she blatantly tells them she doesn't trust Deuce. She also reveals that the ghost train is from her home planet, Freeform, and was prematurely launched into a wormhole. And after one interaction, Ace thinks Deuce is a changed man.
It's also possible that he's changed.
20 minutes later.
Hey, what's Mr. Popular still doing here?
If Danger fucking Duck is able to see through people, so should you! 5 minutes of filler and bad jokes later, we learn that Deuce was evil all along. What a shocker. He's even in cahoots with Optimus Sam.
Where's that gold darn treasure?
All in due course, Sam.
Okay. Bit of a rant here. Can we please stop with the guy seems good but someone important rightfully doesn't trust them plotline? It's been used way too many times and is the same goddamn story recycled over and over and over again.
Anyway, Deuce wants the sword Ace has, but why? It's a mystery. Except not. Here's why. It's a super powerful sword from Zadavia's home planet. It has the ability to emit energy blasts, turn into a lasso, absorb energy, and it's a Mary Sue weapon. Holy fuck! Deuce was Zadavia's general, but he was only interested in getting power. And the robots in the train? That's Deuce's army. They become important later. So, long story short, Deuce betrays Sam, but Ace beats the shit out of Deuce and gets his sword back. The end. There's only one other episode of relevance in the first part of Season 2, mostly because I couldn't get the disc to work. The Air Up There, aka the one good episode. We start on a clear night, where all the lunatics are fast asleep. And we meet...
Firing cat claw bombs!
Sylvester, the descendant of Sylvester? Okay...
He tries to kill the lunatics, but only manages to wake them all sand-stuck up. They get in their special weapon chairs and blast the shit out of this sudden foe. And for its budget, it's actually pretty cool. It's intense, and for once, I give a shit.
Hey, a certain someone seems AWOL. Anyone seen the Duckmeister?
Also, I just love how Danger Duck sleeps surrounded by photos of himself. The lunatics succeed in their efforts, and Sylph is hilariously reprimanded by his boss.
What was that?
It was nothing. Just a minor bump in the road.
Don't tell me it was nothing when I heard something.
Sorry, boss, but I'm losing it. Must be solar flares.
So, what was going on? Zadavia arrives in her magically regenerated ship from Season 1 and explains. Kinda. Queen Granicus of Planet Blank in the Merry Melody Galaxy, which I guess is close to Moon Tex Avery and Comet Censored 11, needs the lunatics to transport her heir, the Royal Tweetums, wait, did Granny and Tweety fuck? Back home. People like Sylph are trying to stop Tweetums from taking the throne, just like in real monarchies. So no, Granny and Tweety didn't fuck. Tweetums is from a different royal family, the rightful royal family, that needs to take the throne in order to something avoid intergalactic war.
Hey, this sounds familiar.
So one reused clip later, DDtDaD is assigned to the lucky task of supervising Tweetums.
Hey, I'm a trained warrior, not a babysitter.
And this is the good part of the episode because their interactions are, get this, funny! And we have jokes about the other characters too!
Hey, Slam, what's cooking in the kitchen?
But Sylph is following them, prepared to attack! And since this is Looney Tunes, guess what happens? That's right, shenanigans! I won't spoil the jokes because comedy is subjective and I don't want to deconstruct all of the things I love about this episode. But I will spoil the plot because I'm a trolling bastard. Sylph hacks into the ship's system and attacks, but is absolutely defeated! Duck is captured by him, though. The two bond over their mutual hatred of Tweetums.
You two? You know, the very first time I ran into Canary Faith, I lost all my back teeth.
You got off easy. I lost parts of me I never even got to use.
But Tweetums manages to save him somehow and kills Sylph. So they arrive at Blanc and deliver Tweetums, and it's revealed that not only Sylph's alive, but was hired by Granicus. Oh noes!
There's no way I'm turning over the throne to some small bird.
But they managed to be defeated, so that's good.
If it wasn't for Duck's brilliant scheme to have Sylph capture him, I would have never put it together.
However, even though the show is funnier, it's still Loonatics Unleashed, and therefore sucks at character development.
The two best examples of Season 2 sucking at character development, in my opinion, are It Came From Outer Space and In the Pinkster. I'm just gonna summarize them, though, because we're running out of time. Yeah. It Came From Outer Space. Rev fucks with tech stuff, along with Lexi. This results in the descendant of Marvin the Martian, Melvin the Martian, deciding to attack Acmetropolis and his knockoff Death Star that even explodes! After failed negotiations, thanks to Duck obviously, Melvin decides he wants to kidnap Lexi. She feels guilty about it, so she, feeling like Helen of Troy, decides to turn herself in. But then she doesn't. So the Martians shrink the planet one building at a time? So Lexi turns herself in. Woohoo! Duck makes a sexist joke.
You know women, when they get something into their head, there's no stopping them.
And everyone but Tuck invades the ship. The robot Trojan horse. What the fuck is this? So while Lexi and Melvin play space checkers, the Fab 3 and Rev try and find Lexi and disarm the ship. And what a shock! Space checkers is just the city shrinking. Now Lexi feels even worse, and Rev plans to rig up Tech's molecular grower or whatever. Long story short, they have a seizure, battle Melvin, and flee. The moral? Don't ever play checkers. It's boring. In the Pinkster. So we have a crime ring here, descendants of 20th century mafia gangsters. Zadavia assigns the Loonatics to deal with them because they're after a magic stone that can remove their powers. Okay. But then we meet Pinkster, the descendant of Porky Pig and Duck's childhood friend. Believe it or not, they were orphans and Duck basically tricked Pinkster into not getting adopted. Now, in a good episode, this could set a moral precedent for Duck as he deals with something from his past he genuinely regrets and reestablishes base with an old friend. But this is Loonatics Unleashed, so instead, Pinkster is a mafia boss. Woo fuckity-doo! Complex characters aren't cool enough, I guess. Anyway, he was beaten or something, my disc glitched and I couldn't get it to show the rest. Regardless, it's time for the 3-part series finale!
You look gorgeous, my queen. Let me get the guest list all sorted out, and then we can go on with the show.
The pseudonym was two words. River flock? Bomber grunge? Flower grunge?
Soon I'll have you give Dodgers the good news.
You mean he doesn't know yet? Yeah, it was flower something. Flower frolic?
I intended for you to be a surprise.
I see. Flower gorge? Flower gothic? Flower gothic! That's what it was!
What was that?
Oh, nothing. Flower gothic. That's the name. So this episode, the music villain, isn't technically a part of the series finale, but it's the prelude, if you will. So let's watch it. Zidovia is giving performance reviews to the Fab 5 Plus Rev. She then gets invited to a free concert. Considering this is 2007, you'd expect it to be an email chain scam or LimeWire malware, but she goes anyway with Tech.
Really? I'm honored.
Wait, did Zidovia and Tech fuck? So they watch some Josie and the Pussycats ripoff, and Duck breaks in because of course he does.
I was just in the neighborhood. I thought I'd quack in.
Zidovia is blinded by the colored lights while Duck clumsily flirts with her. Ample opportunity for comedic pauses. And look who's back! Doug Dimmadome! Owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome! Then comes... Wait, is that the Electric Piper? Huh, I guess it is.
I know that tune.
Oh boy, we got some more subtlety here! I wonder how Zidovia knows this song. I wonder. Anyway, the concert venue gets destroyed, Danger Duck tries to defeat them, but it takes Tech to wait, neither of them succeeded. Zidovia remembers the tune again, and the Electric Piper taunts them for a little while. She then does a stupid and she loses her powers to a magic flower. I'm not even kidding.
The Lumarious flower of Freeling. It can't be. Not here. No!
My fucking god. The Loonatics find her underwater hideout ransacked, and she's kidnapped to put an ebony light. And the Electric Piper only wants a guitar in exchange for her safe return. Is this just the sequel to the Electric Piper? What the fuck? So they do some music fighting, and it turns out only the keyboardist is a real sentient being. Zidovia, what's going on? After some more music fighting, Zidovia's powers are depleted and we learn what happened.
Why? You never paid any attention to me back on Freeling. You were always so busy hanging with the elite. All I wanted was to become a member of your court and to serve you. I even brought you a present. I wanted it to be Freeling's new national anthem, but you ignored me and my music.
Jesus fucking Christ. Can a villain in this show not be evil out of pettiness or plain evilness? Oh wait, this is Loonatics Unleashed. Of course not!
So what do the Loonatics do? Go to Acmepalooza and fight the Electric Piper again. And fail because they have no music weapons. Why are they so fucking stupid? Then Tech plays them at their own gang, which goes swimmingly. Just kidding! The keyboardist escapes, leaves a weakened Zidovia, and frees Optimatus, leading us to the series finale.
I'm going to make sure that everything is all well and done for the ceremony. Now, I trust you with my phone, so you can call Dodgers and give him the good news. Don't try anything funny, or I will kill you.
Yes, ma'am, I won't. Now, what was Flowergothic's number? God damn it, what was it? We start with Duck on Night Watch. A wise decision, obviously. He goes to get a sandwich, thinking nothing would happen. Guess what happens?
26 messages.
Mr. Duck, my planet's been invaded.
Yeah, that fucker Tweetums is back.
Mr. Duck, we are under attack. Mr. Duck, the fighting has grown much worse. Mr. Duck, I hope you have a good excuse why you're not there.
Nope. Duck. Yikes!
So the Loonatics jet to Blanc, complete with Duck in his medieval times uniform. Tech and Rev stay behind though, and they have a reason to believe Keyboard Guy has access to wormhole travel. Okay. And Planet Blank, it's in the center of the universe. That makes it special. It's basically the universal equivalent of New York Harbor, or JFK Airport, or NYC in general. Even Ace states it. Why?
Kinda like Grand Central wormhole.
Tweetum's scepter, however, is the key to the wormholes, and that's why he must be killed. Zadavia stays on the ship, and the Fab Four make their way to the throne room, and hey, remember him? Oh, and Ebony Optimus Dementia Ravenway is here too. Hooray! They do some fighting before
floppy years.
So, look who crawled out of the old wormhole. What's up, Deuce?
That's right, the Terrible Three and the Fab Four face off! Until Keyboard Man is betrayed, because no villain has a true alliance in this show. You'll see. I suck, I'm winking again. I apologize. Everyone theorizes Tweetums managed to escape, and it's immediately revealed through villain exposition that he did, because subtlety is a curse.
With Zadavia's powers, you should have no trouble carrying out my plan. I will keep looking for that wretched bird while you're gone.
Backstory. Keyboard Man, after freeing Optimatus, asked him for a place on his court and for his song to become the national anthem. He agrees under the condition that he finds Deuce's ghost train. How did they not pair up before? I really don't know. They never explain. Is Keyboard Man relevant again?
Yeah, I'm afraid you were just a one-hit wonder. Let's jet.
Then somehow, Deuce gets on the ship and flies light years away while, hey, remember this fucker? Yeah, Sylph's alive and has apparently changed.
If it isn't Sylph Vester, the bad old putty tat.
I'm now the good old putty tat.
He offers his help with navigating Blank and is thus freed. He even gets his own jetpack. How nice!
Mr. Duck, over here.
Look!
Sylph warns that the tunnel is booby-trapped and...
Hey!
He was actually right! But Ace, who agreed to free him, doesn't trust him. Why? And guess what? Deuce returns to Acmetropolis for his robot army. What a fucking shock!
Come on, Rev. We better get to the rail yard right away.
What happened with putting a shield over it, assholes? Anyway, Rev and Tech fail, and Tweetums is found by good old Oh, wait. A robot? What the fuck is with this show and robots? He's not even the only one!
We did.
One of the robot Tweetums, though, gives Duck a message from the real deal and clues to his location. It's Duck's lucky day!
And the hits just keep on coming.
Okay, that was actually pretty funny. So, Deuce awakens his armies like good old Frankenstein. Oh no! The evil exposition means that he means business! End of part 1. So here's what happened. There has been a 5% progress in fighting Tweetums. We get a betrayal 2 scenes in, and Deuce's robot army returns. Am I feeling scared and suspense? No, I'm just mostly bored except for the Tweetum shenanigans. Damn it, what was her number? What was? Oh, my queen! Hi, just got the guest list set. What are you doing? There's no need to lie. I'm trying to contact my friend who helped me. Who? You wouldn't know her. Her name is Flowergothic. She is... Flowergothic, you say? I'm going to need that back. Never. So you choose to do this the hard way, huh? Take on me, bitch! Rejoice, my minions! We are finally on the last episode. Let's get this over with. Deuce leaves with his army, and he has 42 minutes for preparations, but he didn't even imprison Zadavia. What the fuck?
Poor Zadavia. Without your powers, you might catch your death of cold.
The Fab Four plus Sylph jet over to the caverns of Blanc. We get the first clue, and hilarity ensues.
What's black and blue and red all over?
You mean black and white and red all over? It's the newspaper.
There you go. Correction. Someone who picks up the newspaper before looking up.
Hey, a map pointing the way. Nice work there, Duck.
One reused clip later, Zadavia pulls a die hard and escapes through the chute. Deuce is apparently stupid enough to leave the almighty guitar unattended, allowing her to regain her powers. How convenient. Then she gets ejected into space with the guitar. Deuce is an idiot. After more funny shenanigans, we find the real Tweetums 6 minutes in. What the fucking Johnny Appleseed?
You sure took your sweet time getting here.
Tweetums reveals how dangerous the scepter is, and it turns out Sylph has been in cahoots with Optimatus and Deuce the whole time. Or the writers are just shitty at writing chaotic neutrals. You decide. But do know I had to Google the character to find out what kind of person cat Sylph was. Guess who gets the scepter? Ace. But Deuce has Tweetums, so Duck makes a trade, gets imprisoned for it, and his buddies die. And guess what? Deuce double-crossed Optimatus Prime. Because of course he does, he's a power-hungry monster.
6 hours later.
Hey, Rev!
That's right! Tech and Rev, using some giant-ass drills, save the day because sacrifice doesn't exist in this world. Hell, Deuce can't even use the scepter unless he has the magic jewel. Duck has the magic jewel. What are the odds?
A few minutes later.
Zadavia, what are you doing here?
So Zadavia gets her powers back and frees Optimatus, who is good now because of the betrayal.
This seems most unusual. Us fighting together.
No, us fighting on the same side.
I like that.
Finally, we reach Wormhole Central Station. Deuce is waited with his army. They are surrounded! Whatever shall they do? Actually fight for once. I mean, with the flashing lights, but fighting nonetheless. It's epic and thus deserves its own song! Zadavia and Optimatus return to fight. But Sylph fucks up and reveals how to use the scepter, because I guess that's how a chaotic neutral works. Then we get an Ex Machina for the fight to continue. And Deuce opens a portal to start universal domination. But Ace follows and the two duke it out. And this is where they wasted the animation budget. Was it worth it? I don't know anymore. Ace saves the universe at the cost of his life and the lives of 500 egg-bots. Sylph gets arrested and oh wait, Ace is alive. Of course he is. Lexi's off-camera love saved him. So Zadavia and Optimatus return to freelance and rebuild their country, promoting the Loonatics to Guardians of the Galaxy universe. Guardians of the Universe.
You must now rise to the next level and become Guardians of the Universe.
And they are now official heroes. Yay! They make Blanc their new home. Yay! The end finally. Yay! this show was a mess. Even after a break, it still had no idea when it wanted to be. No wonder it was canceled and never spoken of again.
But I'll admit that I'm nostalgic for it. I would watch the episodes again and again and again when I was a kid, so my soft spot will always be for... Odd, I thought I put it on silent mode. Hello?
Oh, thank God, I finally reached you!
Tyr'ahnee?
Yes, Flowergothic, I've been kidnapped by this beast! She's forcing me to marry against my will and...
Okay, who kidnapped you, and why is she forcing to marry... Oh, it all makes sense now. I never thought I'd have to deal with you again, Flowergothic.
Please tell her that I'm not meant to marry Dodgers.
Oh, honey, you two are meant to be.
Stop trying to control my life! You do not know what I've had to go through every day of my life while I was stuck in your world!
Stop! I know what will happen if Tyr'ahnee marries Dodgers. I know her fate if she takes that path. Bullshit. Prove it. I never thought I'd have to do this. I never thought I'd have to see you again. Here goes nothing. Wow! What a cliffhanger that was! So, the third and final part of our adventure surrounds Prince of Mars. Prince of Mars is a Duck Dodgers / Loonatics Unleashed fanfiction written by a girl under the names Rascally and Girl with No Life in 2010. Something about her writing stuck with me. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's something that has never been able to leave my head. Hell, it kind of inspired me to start my shitty YouTube career. This was also the most ambitious of the 3 parts. I spent like days in Photoshop creating all the graphics. I spent weeks gaining the courage to find VAs for this, and all in all, it stands up to an extent. At least in my opinion. Rascally, wherever you are, thank you. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're happy with whatever it is that you're doing. Let's watch.
8 hours later.
A book? How will a book prove your point? Will you shut up? I never thought I'd have to share this. I was obsessed with this fanfiction as a kid. I took it as a gospel for what the future would hold for the Martian Queen.
My future?
If you were to wed Dodgers, yes.
I'm interested.
Fine. I guess we can delay the ceremony for this. Okay. Here goes nothing.
Prince of Mars is a 2010 fanfiction from fanfiction.net, written by the then-named Girl with No Life. It played with Danger Duck's orphan past, establishing him as the Prince of Mars and making him emo. More on the book proper later. So that duck boy will be my son?
Yes! The fanfiction also has an abandoned sequel, which we will not go over because it's irrelevant. Girl with No Life has 3 other aliases. Rascally, She Who Eventually Writes, and Wild Whimsy Angel. She frequently made fan art and videos about her work, and that's how I found her. At this point, she's really only active on DeviantArt and TV tropes, but when I found her in 2010, I was captivated by the video Danger Duck's Lullaby, which reintroduced me to Loonatics Unleashed. Before that, I thought it was nothing but a fever dream when I was 7. And I got hooked to her fanfiction. I genuinely believed what Rascally was saying was divine word of God. And I still do. Just play along, Julia. Get her to relent. I am not kidding. Admit it, I was pretty obsessive. How obsessive? I practically plagiarized the story and claimed I was the long-lost Princess Madison Lucette of Mars, and that Danger Duck was my half-brother. I want to elaborate on these delusions in a future video, but for now, I will say that in my version, Duck had the power of fire, and Madison entered a relationship with Ace at 14, when he was canonically in his 20s. That didn't age well. Luckily, I grew out of that phase by the time I was 13. But I want to understand, why? Why did I love this fanfiction so much? Why did I take it as a gospel? What did she say? That this is gospel. Let's find out. The story begins in 2753 on the city planet of Acmegeddon. Where else? We zoom in on an orphanage run by an old cat, the descendant of Cool Cat, perhaps, and a human woman. They have some silly exposition about their marriage that isn't really important, but then a shooting star appears.
Oh, look, a shooting star. Make a wish, dear.
She quickly folded her hands and wished.
I wish we could fix that old dishwasher so I wouldn't have to wash the dishes by hand anymore.
Then she turned to her husband, whose eyes suddenly widened.
What do you wish for, dear?
I wish for the shooting star not to hit the building. Look out!
The cat shielded his wife just as a bright light hit the ground in front of the orphanage, sending a large explosion of light that went on for many blocks. When the light died down, the couple cautiously stood before walking towards the window. There they saw what seemed to be an escape pod of some sort.
Oh my!
The wife gasped. Her husband went out the kitchen door and approached it, curious about this strange thing. He had obviously never heard the old saying, "Curiosity killed the cat." When he was close enough, the pod suddenly opened, and through the smoke he heard a crying that he had become accustomed to over his long years. A baby crying.
That's right, this duck baby, Danger Duck, just came out of fucking nowhere! Is he an alien?
Now, Mary, just because he came in a pod from outer space does not mean he's an alien,
the woman said, as she took the small duckling, who was still crying.
So, what do? Well, 19 years later, even though most of Loonatics Unleashed was in 2773, we cut to after Loonatics Unleashed ended. They're the guardians of the galaxy, universe now, and they need to meet with other world leaders because... United Nations. I will admit, so far the Loonatics are in character here. Duck complains, Rev talks fast, Lexi is girl, etc. The sad thing is that several fan fictions tend to leave the characters out of character. From My Immortal to the Queen fanfiction. Shut the fuck up! No celebrity would adopt a random person after knowing them for a day! Anyway, everything is in order as it should be. But not for long! We then meet one of our two original characters, the fierce, formidable, glamour model Gem! Not that one! This Gem looks like Jessica Rabbit and Hollywood. I know this because both are used in Rascally's official fanfiction music videos. Also goes by the name Kala Mity. Throughout this video, I'll simply call her Kala for simplicity. So Kala and Duck have a history. What kind of history? Observe. Still tripping over your own 2 feet, quackers?
He heard a female voice say. He turned his head, and his eyes widened when he saw a curvy tangerine redhead laughing at him. The woman was very beautiful, and held curves that men dreamed about. Now, usually when Duck saw a woman like this, hearts would fill his eyes, his mouth would be drooling like a dog, and his heart would be doing flips that could win the Olympic Gold's first place trophy. However, Danger's mind was too busy running with memories of his childhood.
No way!
He exclaimed as he scrambled up, his armor clanking together as he did.
Jim?
The woman smirked, and her bright blue eyes danced in the sunlight.
Well now,
she purred as she touched her gloved hand to her full pouty lips.
Never thought I'd see you here. My, the people you meet when you travel.
What are you doing here?
Duck yelled, his eyes wide. When he was a child, Jem used to be a girl at the orphanage who used to boss him and Pinkster around like they were her slaves. Even after she had been adopted, she would come to the orphanage and ask if he had been adopted or not.
I was invited, quackers dear. Unlike some mammals, people love to see me and my gorgeous self.
Jem cooed as she thrust her hip towards him.
A few moments later.
Yee-yow!
He cried with joy when he saw it. His eyes rolled like the slot machines in Vegas until they stopped on emeralds.
Yowzers, that's the biggest emerald I've ever seen. Where the heck did you get it?
Let's just say I have a special touch.
Jem grinned as eyes flashed for a moment.
But such a trinket is nothing to a princess such as myself.
Yeah.
Duck sighed in annoyance. During their childhood, Jem was always calling herself a princess and acted like a spoiled little one, always demanding that she gets what she wants when she wanted. That attitude had made her many enemies, but Jem was always clever and strong enough that no one could ever even touch her. That, and she usually used Pinkster and Duck as shields.
So seriously, where'd you get it?
I told I'm a princess, dummy!
Jem pouted as she whipped the emerald away from Duck, who was drooling over it with greedy little eyes. He fell forward into the stone path when the jewel was whipped away from him.
I'll have you know that I am now the ruler of one of the war planets known as Carvia. By the way, I am known as Kala Mity now.
Carvia? You're the ruler of a workout?
Duck blinked. Kala Mity twitched in annoyance. Over the year they had been apart, she had forgotten how annoying Duck could be.
That's cardio, you overgrown chicken!
She yelled as she yanked the leashed stone into the air just before bringing it down upon Duck's head.
This causes some shenanigans and allows Tweetums to give us some relatively important exposition about the world building this author decided to take.
Today, the princess from a war planet is coming, and if we mess up, it could be very bad. That's why it's important Mr. Duck is here.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask, what's a war planet? Who's the princess? Why are both so important?
Rev asked in his usual quick tone.
A war planet is a planet that invades other worlds and conquers them. So far, there are 8 war planets: Mars, Kavia, Pluto, Likajo, Uraba, Erika, Yu, and Waruku.
Tweetums explained.
Kavia is a very powerful planet and recently has become the richest planet in the galaxy. If we can truly make peace with them, it would be great.
Yep, war planets. Not even fan fiction can add complexity to the setting. And Kala, in the past year, defeated the Serpent King and became the Queen of Kavia. How? You'll find out later. Note to self, prog rock song idea, the death of the Serpent King. When the rest of the loonies meet Kala, they instantly trust her. Doesn't seem like something they'd do. Wait! To be honest, I feel bad for Duck here. They don't believe him when he says she's nothing but trouble, but there's no reason not to trust him. Kala acts all nice to everyone, and almost everyone falls for it. But guess who's also there?
Everyone slightly turned their heads towards the knight she spoke of, and IQ felt his heart give a leap of fright as he leaped up and exclaimed,
Dodgers?
The tangerine duckbill, those dark feathers, that cocky look. IQ couldn't believe it.
After all these years, he's still alive? That means he took 19 years of vacation,
he thought, almost angrily.
That's right! Our favorite red-haired scientist, Dr. IQ High, is back! And he seems to recognize Duck, thinking he's Duck Dodgers. So we catch up on what happened to Dodgers. He somehow got noted as a war hero and then vanished at around the time Duck was born. I wonder if this'll be important. Back to the meeting. Kala expresses her desire to have peaceful relations with the UN, and they decide to give her a task to prove her intentions. She is to go to Mars and retrieve Earth's generator.
As a precautionary measure, and to show my trust in the Princess of Kavia, I will send my knight, Sir Duck, to assist her and make sure she doesn't cause any trouble,
he said.
What?
What?
Duck and Gem exclaimed. Did this bird lose his little bird brain mind?
You've got to be kidding me.
Duck cried as rushed to Tweetums and slid to his knees. Gem was bad enough when they were kids. Now she has some weird superpower and an army?
I'm begging you. I'll bathe you. I'll do anything.
Your Highness,
Kala sneezed out as politely as she could.
I'm sure Sir Duck would be more help here with you, far away from me. Why not simply send this cutie?
She said, as placed a finger under Slam's chin. Kala had a plan, and she for a fact that Duck would ruin it. He ruined everything. Slam swooned a little, and Duck could see the little hearts float from him.
Oh, brother,
he thought.
That's a great idea! You can take all the lunatics to assist you, and Sir Duck can be your personal guard,
Tweetums said.
And yep, the lunatics have to tag along because Tweetums said so. He is still a shitty royal, and it goes to show why the monarchy should be abolished. Even the Swedish princesses and the chats they married. I'm sorry, I said it. Sue me. We get a look at Kavia's impressive weapon collection, see that the lunatics still don't believe Duck, and use Duck's interdimensional crystal from the last 2 episodes of the series to travel to Mars. But before they go, IQ gets a sample of Duck's DNA because he can't get the similarities out of his head. I wonder if this'll be important. So they get to Mars, and everyone sans Duck and Kala go to retrieve the generator, which leads us to... Now now is a good time to discuss Kala and her relationship with Duck. Why? Well, first off, the next portion of the book is just the Loonatics and some Carvian snake guards trying to find the generator, and nothing interesting really happens. Except that we learn that Melvin the Martian is Commander X2's son, apparently. And second off, it's important to delve into this OC because she's a major character.
So wait, if I marry Dodgers, Commander will have found love elsewhere?
Yes! Okay, then she should marry Dodgers. The Commander will have a nice relationship. I didn't say it was a happy relationship. The Commander's wife died prior to the fanfiction, and he is very torn up about it. All right. That's not a part of the story, by the way. The Commander's wife is never mentioned. Kala and Duck teleport to Mars because the former wants to find the Spring of Youth. Remember from that one episode of Duck Dodgers?
It is a special water.
Ducks love water.
It will be a one-of-a-kind mineral spring.
Okay.
That flows deep beneath the Imperial enemy in Martian Palace.
During their misadventures, we get a deeper look into their history and Kala's true nature.
No.
Kala said simply.
Haven't you learned anything over the years, you silly goose? You can never have enough.
Duck ran a hand through his feathers as he remembered asking the same thing as a kid.
She'll never change,
he thought with a sigh.
Besides, how can you follow that little jackrabbit anyways? I thought wanted to be a leader, not a follower.
Huh?
Now it was Kala's turn to sigh.
You're an idiot, Quackers, but since you never made it to middle school, I suppose I can't blame you.
Then she pulled out a long pointer and a chalkboard, from where Duck couldn't tell.
So, I'll educate you. Lesson number 1. If you want to become something, you have to act like it,
she explained.
For example, I wanted to be a princess, so I acted like one. Yes, it made me a lot of enemies, and now everyone either fears or despises me. But guess what? I'm an actual princess now. You want to be a hero, yes? Not only that, but you want the leader, correct?
Maybe.
Duck muttered.
No maybes, Quackers. Either do or you don't.
What does it matter? Okay, so what if I do? Even I act like the leader, it won't change the fact that I'm not, because the others won't accept me as one.
Which brings us to lesson 2. Do whatever it takes to get what you want.
Kala purred.
So what is Kala trying to do? Well, wait a second, Flowergothic. This was supposed to be about why the Queen should not marry Dodgers. What are you talking about? Some random sexy girl. I'm bisexual. Because for years, I have deeply studied Kala's character. I wondered, why does she act the way she acts? And what did she have to sacrifice to get into her position of power? And even, is she insecure about herself? I have pondered these questions and how they pertain to her end goal, and I want to share my knowledge on her with the world. As mentioned before, Kala and Duck grew up together in the orphanage. They remained in this bizarre power struggle bond for years to come, with Duck continually serving Kala and even losing his virginity to her. Think of it like a bickering couple who don't realize how much they love one another. They can't stand each other, but they can't live without each other. But what does Kala want? What's her end goal? What's her backstory? Well, I'll tell you. Kala had a troubled childhood. She was neglected by her mother and told she had to look pretty to get what she wanted.
Her mother said as she popped her lips.
You have to look pretty if you want people to love you.
Really?
Jem asked as she tilted her head.
Of course. Take those princesses you love to read about. What's the first thing you noticed about them?
Jem looked thoughtful.
That they're pretty?
She said.
That's right. That and they're rich. That's what makes everyone love them.
But I thought it was because they were nice.
Jem's mother let out a laugh.
Who cares about nice? That's what ugly people say, darling.
She said as she slipped on her high heels.
Tell me, do you really believe that heroes would really fight a dragon for a pig? Of course not. It has to be a fair maiden, or no deal. Simple as that. You see, hon, the only thing that matters is if you got the right stuff and you can use it.
She explained as she patted her curves. Jem touched her own curves, only to find she didn't have any. She feel her bones, though, for she wasn't feed that much.
Am I pretty?
She asked.
No. You look like a horrid skeleton. Sorry, dearie. No prince is ever gonna save you. Ugh. If I weren't your mother, I wouldn't save you either.
Her mother replied with a little laugh.
And that's why Kala desired to be a princess, so she herself could be seen as desirable. She became a material girl and wore makeup from a young age, just so she could see herself as beautiful. She even dyed her hair its signature red, though it later inexplicably turns back to blonde, to repress her insecurities. But behind her meanness, her manipulation, and her ego, she's just an insecure girl who still loves Danger Duck. Why? Perhaps it's because he was one of the few people who was always with her. Perhaps it's because she saw them like Bonnie and Clyde. After all, it was her who taught Duck to use his brain to get adopted. It was her who beat up all the bullies that went after him in Pinkster. It was her who checked up on them after she got adopted to make sure they were okay. And it was her who got him his pool boy job. But she vanished when the meteor struck in 2772. What changed in that year, and what is she after? Let's find out. No! No finding out! Where is Dodgers? We need to get to Dodgers! Okay, let's put it to a vote. All in favor of diving into Duck and Kala's relationship, raise your hand. Fine. Thank you.
10 seconds later.
So, during their adventure, Kala starts to manipulate Duck, telling him that the other lunatics are laughing behind his back and that he can be much more powerful if he just trusts her. And here is where we find one of the inconsistencies with Kala. She's a bitch to Duck, but makes him infinitely more powerful by this.
Duck.
She sighed.
I know I'm bitch, okay? I won't deny it, but after the comet hit, I changed. I swear I did. Now, I just want to make up for all the things I did to you.
Duck stared at her. On her face was a look he had never seen her wear. It was a look of pain and regret. Duck never knew she could have a look like that.
So what?
He finally said.
You're not gonna torture me anymore?
Hell no!
Kala said.
I'm still gonna make you wish you were never born. I'm just going to do something nice once in a while so I don't feel bad.
You're despicable,
he growled. Then he stared at the jewel. Honestly, he couldn't see if she was lying or not. For all he knew, she could be setting him up. But on the slight chance she was telling the truth, he could finally be a leader. And best of all, he would no longer be second-rate to Ace.
Well, if she's lying, I can just kick her ass,
he thought, as he removed the gem from his neck.
Alright, I don't trust you, but I will grant you the great honor of making me more powerful, if that's possible,
he said, as he reluctantly handed it to her.
All right, dear.
She smirked as the royal gem began to glow brightly in her touch.
Now get ready, 'cause this going to hurt more than anything you've ever felt in your life.
With that, she slammed the jewel into his chest, and an unimaginable pain filled Duck's entire body.
So it's clear that she doesn't straight up hate Duck's guts, but that meteor clearly changed her. She gained a form of psychokinesis that allows her to manipulate gems. And as we see here, she also has power bestowal and augmentation. Really? Well...
Huh?
Suddenly, Duck was surrounded by Martian robots.
Whoa, where did these freaks come from?
They were attracted by your cries of pain, wimp!
Jem explained as she tugged at a strand of her hair.
Anyway, this is your chance to prove that you really are a hero and defeat these 10 heads while defending poor, defenseless little me.
Duck glared at her as she gave him a cute look.
Defenseless? Ha, you're as defenseless as a snake.
The robots then started blasting at them, and when Duck saw that Kala wasn't going to protect herself, he quickly shielded her and teleported away behind a large rock.
Hey, if you're planning on standing around looking sexy, stay here.
He quacked away again and appeared above all the robots, where he conjured his magma eggs.
Okay, Circus, time to send you back to the shop.
He threw them, and much to his surprise, one egg was enough to create a large explosion that not only took out the droids, but created a large crater that was deep enough to create a water park.
Whoa!
He gasped as he landed, staring at his still glowing hands.
Did you see that, Jimmy? That was awesome. One hit and look. Oh yeah, I am the best.
Kala grinned as she watched him congratulate himself.
You're welcome, Ducky,
she said.
Kala also has fond memories of Duck. She gave him the coin he used to get adopted. She beat up anyone who bullied him. She even let him live at her place and kept a crown he made for her for years. Is she a tsundere? No, I think she's more complicated than that. When I originally wrote the notes for this fan fiction, I labeled Kala as an asshole with no hope for redemption. I mean, she's still an asshole, but she has a hidden fondness for Duck that, well, I can't go on. That'd be a spoiler. Let's check in with everyone else. Oh, thank God. Shut up! At around this time, we finally see Queen tyr'ahnee and learn her motive for attacking Earth. After Dodgers vanished, she felt betrayed as he fled with their child, and both have been presumed dead. Her husband turned his back on her, and her child died. I'll give you 3 guesses as to who the child is. Time's up! Meanwhile, the dysfunction junction of the Loonatics and the Carvians are found by the Martians, and of course, you know, this means war. During the fight, however, Tech gets a call from none other than IQ, who confirms that Duck Dodgers is Danger Duck's father, and tyr'ahnee is his mother. Who would have known?
Ace and Slam prepared themselves to fight, but Tech simply stood his ground as he folded his arms with a confident smirk.
Oh, I don't think so,
he said.
Oh, really?
X9 frowned.
And what makes you think that?
Because you wouldn't dare blast the friends of your long-lost prince,
he replied. At this, everyone stared at him with wide, confused eyes. Even his friends stared.
This leads to a tactical advantage. How?
Ace gasped. Holy cow! Duck was a Martian prince? What was the universe coming to?
Surprised me too,
Tech said.
I for one am not eager to tell him.
Wait a minute. How do we know you're not just making this up?
X9 interrupted.
The prince has been missing since the day of his birth, and all of a sudden he shows up? Sorry. Unless you can prove this is genuine, I'm not buying it. Then maybe we should let you examine the merchandise yourself.
Ace said.
You can do your own DNA test on it and see if we're telling the truth or not. Then Duck can order them to give us generator, and we can go home with a job well done.
He silently added. X9 frowned, thinking this over. If by the off chance that they were telling the truth and he didn't tell the queen, she would have his head. Or worst, he'd lose his promotion he was so close to gaining.
Tyr'ahnee agrees to see Duck for some reason, and he and Kala come crashing in while trying to find the Martian springs. He gets to endure some painful DNA tests, and through them, we learn what we've already known.
Well, we did every test we could. There's no doubt, my queen, he is most definitely your son. And our prince.
X2 said, looking as if he was going to be blown up.
My son?
tyr'ahnee said as her voice filled with emotion. Then she leapt from her throne and embraced her long-lost son.
My baby, you're actually here? You're actually home with me?
Duck was startled at first. Then he realized that this woman was his mother. This woman was actually his mother.
Mom.
As the mother and son embraced, the lunatics smiled happy for their friend. Even X2 was happy for his queen. Kala's expression was unreadable as she looked away. She wasn't mad or anything, it just hurt to see the two for some reason. In the shadows, however, there was one person who was not happy at this reunion at all.
Kala's discomfort doesn't come without reason. Remember how she was abandoned by her birth mother? Imagine the pain she feels when she sees her Duck reunite with his. She has no real family after all. As for the shadow in the distance, we'll get to him. He's not important right now. How are we all feeling? Just get this bullshit over with, please. Fine. tyr'ahnee privately reveals to Duck what allegedly happened to Duck Dodger's space hero.
He was blown up when he tried to run away with you.
At this, Duck's eyes widened and the queen continued.
My guess was that he had become tired of me and that he planning to take you to Earth so he could get hot dates. But that man never could drive. He crashed into a meteor. I thought you were dead this whole time.
Duck stared at his mother sadly.
Mom.
She shook her head and hugged him.
None of that matters now,
she said.
You're home. That's all that matters.
So why would he abandon everything he had with the queen to start anew with cute babes? Did that even happen? We'll find out. Through the princely reveal and Kala's manipulation, however, Duck acts rather cold-heartedly to Ace once he asks for the generator. I mean, he finally has a home and a birth mother. But remember what Kala told him. If Duck full-heartedly hated Kala, would he have believed her in the first place? Is there a smidgen of him that trusts her and knows deep down she is a good person? Anyway, Duck asks for the generator and tyr'ahnee says no. And through this, we learn that Kala and Duck are legally married. Let me explain. It was mostly a marriage of convenience. Duck realized he could get a lot of money and gifts at a wedding, so he talked Kala into it. Then their gifts were stolen. Then they got arrested. That's all Duck says was to it. But why did Duck specifically marry Kala? If he truly hated her, wouldn't he have tried to find someone else to marry? He's egotistical enough to fucking try. Ace, however, is still pissed about Duck's sudden change in personality, and the two duke it out with the most powerful weapon, words!
Duck went into a long daze and Ace literally had to shake him out of it.
First, you need to get some serious therapy, Doc. Second, never mind all that. Did you get the generator?
He asked.
Huh? Oh, no.
Duck!
I can't help it. She's as stubborn as me.
Duck said.
But no worries. When I'm officially crowned king, I'll just give you the thing. For the low, reasonable price of $80,100.
At this, everyone glared at him.
Okay, I'll get Kala to help me. She always manages to get people to do what she wants.
Ace sighed angrily as he walked away.
Whatever,
was all he said.
Good luck with your new life.
Huh? Hey!
Duck quacked in front of him.
What's with you?
Nothing. Don't you have to get your head measured for your new crown?
Ace huffed as he pushed him out of the way.
Oh, I get it. You're jealous.
Duck accused.
What?
You're jealous that now I'm finally higher rank than you.
What?
You're jealous that for once I'm actually better than you.
Careful, Duck. All that hot air is clouding your thinking.
Ace shot back.
Au contraire, Ace. The fog in my mind is finally clearing.
Duck yelled.
For once I'm not second rate and you can't handle it.
Okay, you two,
Rev said.
Let's just calm down.
Neither of the two listened to him, though.
First off, what the hell are you talking about? And just because you get a planet doesn't mean you're better than me.
Ace yelled.
Oh yeah? Then why don't we have a friendly duel? Then we'll finally see who's better.
Duck snapped.
Stop, you two!
Lexi yelled, but once again, the two didn't listen.
You're on. Just don't start whining when I polish your throne with you.
Ace yelled.
So you admit that you will be polishing my throne.
Duck huffed.
See you in an hour.
With that, he quacked out of the room.
Ace!
Lexi yelled as she grabbed his shoulder.
What are you doing?
Deflating his big head.
Ace snapped.
Someone needs to tune down his ego.
He's Duck.
Tech injected.
His ego's always been big. It would take a galaxy to tune it down. What's with you? His ego never bothered you before.
Maybe I've just finally had it with him. You know what? Maybe it's best if he leaves the team. Then we won't have to put up with him no more.
With that, he pulled away from Lexi, who stared at him with a shocked expression.
You can't mean that,
she said.
Kala still wants that edge over Duck, though, so she talks him into duking it out with Ace on the palace grounds. And this scene goes to show how far down the deep end Duck has gone because of this one crazy day. Did I mention this all happened in a day? It does.
Duck took lead through a punch which Ace easily ducked before delivering a swift kick to Duck's ribs. Duck stumbled back, then quacked behind Ace to deliver a kick of his own, but Ace, who had spent much of his time training and practicing martial arts, saw this coming and managed to grab Duck's leg and threw him into a statue. Duck let out a grunt as he collided with the statue.
Damn it,
he thought. He didn't have to look up to know that Ace was smirking at him, laughing at him.
It always turns out this way. Somehow, that stupid rabbit always ends up on top somehow.
Duck clenched his fist as his something inside of him began to pulse. Duck guessed it was the royal jewel.
But not this time.
Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he vanished, only to reappear beside Ace, who received a swift, powerful kick to the gut. Ace stumbled but didn't have time to recover before Duck began a swarm of onslaughts.
The hell?
Ace thought as he blocked.
When did Duck get so fast?
He finally managed to catch Duck's fist and aimed his palm at his shoulder, but Duck sidestepped it. Then he moved behind Ace, where he aimed his own palm at his back. Ace went flying with a cry, but managed to catch himself as he rolled. Ace charged at Duck, then did a jump kick, which he blocked with his arm.
Whoa!
Lexi said as she and the others watched the fight.
When did Duck get so good at fighting? Did he take some super pills or something?
This doesn't make any sense.
Tech said with a frown.
How could he suddenly get so strong?
It's a real mystery, isn't it? And I told you!
Kala said with an innocent grin. Then she turned to X2.
It's too late to change your bets now! You should have known better!
Oh, come on.
X2 pressed.
I forgot who his father was and placed my bet based on facts.
Ace grunted as he and Duck broke apart. He was panting now while Duck looked perfectly fine.
No way.
He thought as he stared at Duck.
Wasn't it just a few days ago when we were saving his butt? Now he's kicking mine.
Duck put a hand to his chest as he felt his heartbeat.
I can't believe all this power swirling inside of me, and it's all mine.
He charged forward at Ace with a punch, who grabbed his arm just before flipping him.
Something's not right,
he thought as he rolled away.
There's no way Duck could have gotten so strong in just one day.
Duck jumped up and then kicked Ace in the chest, sending him rolling across the courtyard, and before he could hit anything, Duck appeared behind him and kicked him in the back.
Finally,
Duck thought as he delivered a flood of kicks.
Things are different now. I am no longer at the bottom of the barrel.
He ducked as Ace tried to hit him.
No more being pushed around, no more being laughed at or pitied.
He tried to do a sweep kick, but Ace flipped over it.
And no more being second rate to anyone.
Suddenly, Duck summoned his magma eggs and threw them at Ace, who had to pull out his guardian sword to protect himself. From the outside, Lexi let out a scream as the blast came towards them, but Kala tossed a jewel in front of them, which created a dome around Ace and Duck so their attacks could not reach them.
What's happening?
Lexi yelled. Inside the dome were flames that roared loudly, so Lexi couldn't hear anything, and the smoke that now filled it clouded their visions.
Duck, stop it! This is going too far.
Ace yelled. Though the smoke was heavy and thick, Ace wasn't affected by it, probably because the sword's power was protecting him somehow, but he still couldn't see through the smoke.
What's wrong? Can't take the heat?
He heard Duck's voice say from behind. He flipped over Duck as he attacked, then landed behind him.
Duck! What's wrong with you?
Ace yelled. Duck threw another egg at him, and he used the Guardian Sword to cut it in half. Tar exploded from it, and Ace found himself trapped in it.
What's wrong?
Duck repeated as Ace struggled. Using the power of the Guardian Sword, Ace freed himself and was now looking for Duck through the flames.
Nothing's wrong. For the first time in my life, everything is right.
He heard Duck say through the flames.
I have a family, a home, and I am no longer second banana to you.
Suddenly, Duck appeared out of the flames and tackled Ace to the ground.
But you can't stand that, can you? Because now you can't look down on me anymore.
The danger duck we grew to love is dead. Thanks to finding his birth family and Kala's proven influence over him, he has become a broken, power-hungry shell of his former self. tyr'ahnee, however, is none the wiser. She even congratulates him once the fight stops, by Ace getting knocked unconscious. They celebrate by making plans in the throne room until the shadowy figure makes his debut.
Suddenly, the large doors swung open and a tall, muscular alien marched in.
I wouldn't get your seat fitted just yet, my prince, for you might not even become king.
Who is he for, and what does he want? What is his motive? We'll find out. Because of this newfound limitation, Duck must go on a quest to prove his worthiness for the throne. But what?
What do you mean I might not become king?
Duck scoffed as C4 approached.
My mom's the queen, and if I recall correctly, that makes me the prince, therefore next in line to be king.
True, your highness. However, to be the Martian ruler, you must be a Martian,
C4 said.
We made that rule when your mother almost married your father the first time. You are only half Martian, therefore unqualified to be king.
That's absurd!
The queen exclaimed.
Ah, but it is the law,
C4 said as he held up a book. Duck suddenly quacked next to him and grabbed the book.
Let me see that.
He read the law and was very offended until he found something.
Aha! Not so fast, no-face. It says here that I perform a deed which proves that I am fit to be ruler. I can become king.
Excellent, my son!
Tyr'ahnee said as she clasped her hands together.
Bah, what deed do you expect to do that is great enough to make you king?
C4 scoffed.
How about finding Spectra and bring back the fabled Diamond of Light?
Kala suddenly said from the doorway.
Find what and bring back what?
Duck blinked as her.
Spectra is a planet that has been lost for thousands of years,
the queen explained.
And the Diamond of Light is what gives light to the sun, moon, and stars. If anything were to happen to it, all the light in the universe would vanish. If retrieving that doesn't make you a king, nothing will.
Impossible. He'll never be able to find it.
So is the fact that he's married to me, but he is, isn't he?
Spectra, the light of the world, the home of the Diamond of Light. Will he find it? Of course he fucking does! Thanks to his newfound powers and subsequent ego boost. But where does that leave the Loonatics? They stalk him on Kala's ship once Ace wakes up, as she just insists on coming with. After all, diamonds are a girl's best friend. Except mine. Do not give me diamonds, I will hit you. But sadly, we must put happiness aside, as the darkness within this book looms near.
Darkness?
Blah, blah, blah. Get on with it! While looking for the fabled Diamond of Light, Danger Duck separates from the group, but is stalked by none other than C4. The latter attempts to kill him. Why?
What is this? Star Wars?
The Martian prince cried as he ducked it. He quacked away, but the general was fast and skated to where he was. Duck managed to flip over the general's attack and slid away.
So I take it you and my dad weren't the best of friends?
He asked as he slid away. Crouching, he let out a little squawk as his back hit a stone.
Let's just say he was a fool to the end,
C4 said as he stabbed at Duck, who maneuvered himself around the stone.
which is lucky for you, because if he wasn't, you would be dead.
Oh my, we're finally getting some answers on what happened to fabled space hero Duck Dodgers. What does C4 know?
What?
Duck gasped.
Oh, you didn't know?
The Martian general leered.
Oh, that's right. The only one who knew was me. Allow me to enlighten you then.
He yanked his saber out and attacked Duck again, but he slid under him and away from him.
25 years ago, it was decided that if the Queen did not produce an heir, I would be named King of Mars.
Well, I can see how anything would be a step up from C4, but King of Mars isn't exactly gonna save you from getting beat up at the playground.
Duck said as he quacked atop a stone.
I meant I'd become the king, you sad excuse for a bird.
C4 cried as he sliced the stone Duck was on.
But then that saddest excuse for a space captain ever agreed to marry the Queen and had you.
Duck let out a grunt as he hit the ground, then rolled when C4 tried to stab him.
Do you know how hard I worked to be king? All the wars I fought, all the planets I conquered, all the people I had to kill, all that frickin' paperwork I had to do. All so I could be king.
Duck scurried up and C4 suddenly kicked him in the chest, where he felt about 3 ribs break, before he was thrown up against a wall and held by his throat.
And you were born. That's it. All you had to do was be born, and everything I worked for, everything I hoped and dreamed for was taken from me and given to you. All my years of loyalty and hard work were for nothing.
Duck let out a straggled grunt as C4 slammed him head against the stone.
Ever hear of early retirement?
He gasped. Usually he would be fighting back, but for reason his heart was beating so loud his body wouldn't respond too well. Was he having a heart attack or something? The alien slammed him again as he continued.
Your birth ruined everything. So I decided to do what I always done when something blocked my path. Remove that obstacle.
He seethed.
So that night before you were named, I snuck into the nursery and took you aboard my ship and planned to ditch you in the center of space and say you were kidnapped by the enemy. But your dim-witted father had spotted us and decided to steal you back. Luckily I caught him and managed to grab him before he could climb into the escape pod. Unfortunately, during our fight, the idiot pushed the escape button, sending you into space. He also damaged the control systems and we crashed into a meteorite.
He threw Duck to the ground, where he let out a hard breath.
I survived, unfortunately. The abomination didn't.
So my dad was trying to save me?
Duck grunted as he tried to push himself up.
And you killed him?
He killed himself.
C4 said, coldly.
You, however, I will kill.
Dodgers will die protecting our child?
Yes, he never abandoned you, my queen. He wanted to save the life of your only child, even at the cost of his own. He loved you. But even then, you'll have to live through 19 years of mourning for the both of them. In doubt if he ever loved you and sure that your only child and chance that a natural-born heir is gone. Is it really worth it, Your Majesty? No! This cannot be the case! I know with all my heart that Dodgers and Tyranny are meant to be together forever! Baby or not, premature death or not, I will defend this pairing to the very end! So, you want the object of your affection to be in unnecessary pain for almost 2 decades? If I must take you down for my pairing to become reality, so be it!
Keep reading Flowergothic! I'll try to disarm her!
Okay. Oh, okay. C4 almost kills Duck, but he is saved by none other than Ace Bunny. They beat him to a pulp, seemingly forgiving one another until...
Suddenly, they jumped as a laugh echoed around them. You were always too soft, Duck. I always knew didn't have what it takes to be a war king, it said. Here, let me help you. Suddenly, Duck's body moved on its own and without warning. He summoned his magma egg and blasted C4, turning him to ash.
Duck!
Ace exclaimed.
What are you doing?
It wasn't me.
Duck said as he stared at his hands fearfully.
My body moved on its own.
Suddenly, his body tried to chop Ace's head, which he dodged.
You!
Ace exclaimed. Kala laughed as a crystal stone suddenly took on her form. Neither of you are too bright, are you? She asked. Though I must admit, you two did save me a whole lot of trouble.
Kala, what's going on?
Ace demanded as he dodged another one of Duck's attacks. Why, it's very simple, Acey, Kala sang. I want to destroy the universe, and you all helped me.
What?
You heard me, she said. You see, after I became Carvia's ruler, I learned of Spectra and the power of the Diamond of Light and decided to use it for own purposes. But Spectra had been lost for centuries, so it couldn't be easily found.
So that's where Planet Blanc came in.
Ace grunted as Duck tossed him into a wall.
Ugh.
Sorry.
Duck apologized. Smart bunny. I wanted to use Blank's wormholes to find Spectra, but I couldn't just take over the planet, no. Blank had too many allies surrounding it. Kala cooed.
So that's what this piece crap is all about.
Duck yelled as he desperately tried to stop himself. Correct! I wanted to make the little bird brain think I was a friend so I could use his wormholes. But that little canary had complicate things and invite the whole universe. She growled. I thought it would take forever for me to get here. Then I met you. She suddenly appeared behind Duck and enveloped him in her arms. I must admit, Quackers, I was shocked. All this time, I thought you were cleaning pools, but here you were, right where I needed you. From there, everything just fell into place like dominoes. I never would have thought Ducky here was the key to my perfect victory.
So then everything you said...
Ace growled as he painfully pushed himself up, not fully healed from his last battle with Duck. Kala grinned a crescent moon smile. Was a lie.
Kala was the enemy all along, you may ask? Well, as I've mentioned before...
Keep reading! Ryan needs to hear it!
Fuck you both! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Okay!
Duck suddenly quacked behind Ace, where he grabbed his arm and broke it.
Ace!
Duck yelled before his body kicked him aside.
Stop it.
You brought this upon yourself, Duck, Kala said coldly. You got cocky, Ducky, thinking you could just leave without a word. You should have known that my wrath is not to be taken lightly. You abandoned me for these animals, and now you will pay.
What are you talking about?
Duck yelled, doing everything in his power to regain control of his body.
You're the one who disappeared without a word.
But you never looked! Kala screeched. You never looked for me! If you did, then maybe things would have been different. But you didn't! Kala then appeared in front of him and pushed him down beneath her. You didn't! She said, her voice almost cracking. When I actually needed you, you never came! You were too busy playing hero, and now... It's too late! She shoved herself off of him, a crazed look in her eyes. It's too late! Suddenly, the planet began to shake and diamond rained upon them. Ace was almost hit, but he managed to dodge. He jumped when he heard Kala laugh. Pop quiz!
She cried.
Where on Spectra is the Diamond of Light? She let out a sudden laugh as spikes suddenly shot from the ground.
Gah!
Duck yelled as one appeared between his legs. He was unable to move still, so he was fortunate that none of the spikes hit him. Time's up! Kala grinned as her body became crystallized. The answer is that it's nowhere on Spectra.
Whoa.
Ace yelled as he barely missed becoming a rabbit on a stick. Kala continued. For Spectra is the diamond of light. Sudden, a loud sound rang throughout the planet, forcing Ace to cover his ears. Duck, who was unable to do anything, rang like a wedding bell. The planet flashed from dark to light, before suddenly going dark.
Kala still, loves Duck. A part of her revenge is due to him never bothering to look for her, which is rather heartbreaking.
Don't you dare stop! It's a good thing. Here will be your final resting place. Kala's voice entered. Oh, and Acey? The Guardian suddenly appeared in her hand. Cool sword. Unfortunately, it's useless to me, so you can have it back. She threw the sword at him, and it would have pierced him, but then something unexpected happened. Ace's eyes widened. Duck, who managed to use his powers to quack in front of Ace in time to take the blow, fell to his knees with the Guardian's sword in his chest. Kala stared at him in shock, with an unreadable, before turning away. What an idiot, she said. Ace glared at her, full of rage.
You!
He leaped at her, but when he tackled her to the ground, she shattered into crystals. Some leader you turned out to be in the end. Her voice echoed with a laugh. I wonder, will you be able to use the sword that killed your friend? Ace's eyes widened, and he turned back to Duck, who laid in pool of his dark blood as it stained the crystal around him.
Duck!
As Ace ran to him, he heard Kala's laugh. This is just the beginning! With that, her voice and blue glow around them faded.
Jim!
Duck choked out before the light vanished and he passed out.
Duck!
Flowergothic? Flowergothic!
Well, that takes care of that problem.
You bitch! Do you have any idea how big a deal Spectra is? Must I have the book explain it to you? My son almost died. He was lucky to have awoken on planet Freelink, surrounded by his friends, even Zadavia and Optimatus.
Okay.
Oh, fuck you!
So, you have no idea what happened to Jim?
Duck asked. Tuck shook his head.
Nope. She and her snakes vanished while we were losing blood,
he said.
I'm more worried about Spectra,
Zadavia said.
Yeah, what's the story on that place anyway?
Ace asked, seriously. Any playful tone he had in the past seemed to have vanished now, was replaced with a stern one.
And why is it so important to Kala Mity?
To his surprise, it was Optimatus who replied.
Spectra is the diamond planet, and possibly the most powerful planet in the universe. All the light in the universe comes from it,
he explained.
Without it, the sun, the moon, the stars, none of it can shine. Therefore, there is no light in the whole universe.
And without any light, the universe will quickly perish except for a few planets that thrive on darkness.
Zadavia finished.
And it's all because of me.
Ace growled as he clenched his fist.
All because once again I trusted the wrong person.
Lexi put a hand on his shoulder.
Ace, you can't blame yourself,
she said.
Kala had us all fooled.
But I'm the leader. I should have known better, especially after what happened with Juice,
he said.
Now the universe is doomed.
Zadavia walked forward.
We all make mistakes, Ace,
she said.
What's important is that we acknowledge them and try to fix them.
How do we do that?
He asked.
Nice try, Queenie, but I'm still gonna have you marry Dodgers.
What? Where am I? I can't speak? What's going on? Fancy seeing you in the void, darling. Kala Mity? Kala Gem. It's all the same to me now. It's been ages since someone came to visit me. Ages? What is this? It's the void, darling. It's where those destroyed by obsession and revenge live out the rest of eternity. Loneliness is part of the punishment. So there's nothing else? Not for miles and miles. I heard you got killed because you obsessed over a fan fiction. That was 10 years ago. A different crazed fan shot me because she refused to believe Danger Duck's story. Ah, quackers. I loved the dumb duck, but I could never bring myself to tell him. My obsession with them and jewels, it destroyed me, darling. You know how it all ends for me. You know my passion for destruction and material things brought about my downfall. I know, Kala. I wish I could tell the fan that now. I can get you back, you know. What do you mean? I'm sure you weren't meant to die so soon, and because I technically never existed, I have a few tricks up my sleeve. What do you mean? Does this look familiar? The gun she shot me with? But why? You're going to need it, trust me. Now lay down, close your eyes, and think about how you died. Okay. Good luck, darling. Thanks for visiting.
What? You're alive? Indeed, Ryan dear, and now I am here to finish the story.
Oh, Flowergothic! I'm so happy. I already told her about Zidavia and her brother.
Well, thanks for keeping it up while I was away. Let's read. After another flashback, the one about the coin to be specific, Duck realizes that sometime after the meteor, Kala snapped. But why? What could cause a simple Sunhimedere to go off the deep end? And if you don't believe that's the case...
No one tells me what I can do! Kala Mity cried as she stomped her heel on the reedy floor beneath her. Especially you! My lady, please. Her advisor begged. I beg you to listen. If you do this, I can have whatever I want, she said stubbornly. And I want that diamond, the most wonderful jewel in all the universe. Let me try to explain this once again, Your Highness. The advisor said desperately, if anything should happen to that precious gem, I don't want to listen to you anymore. With that, the princess snapped her fingers, and through the doors, 2 large carvians appeared and started towards the advisor. Desperate, he tried to reason with her again. If you do this, you'll destroy everyone! Ignoring his pleas, the princess ordered. Take him away! You'll destroy yourself! The Carvians came closer, and in a desperate attempt, he pulled out a laser gun to shoot the princess, but before he could attack Gem, suddenly appeared in front of him, and with her bare hand caught his face, and within one moment, he became surrounded by a bright light. When the light was gone, all that was in her hand was a small crystal. With a slight smirk, she tossed the crystal to her guards, who took it away to throw in the treasure room, filled with other crystals that once had a beating heart and flesh. With the minor annoyance handled, the princess slipped her glove on and walked back to her throne. There she lifted an emerald onto her lap and began to stroke it like a cat. No one is going to stop me, she hissed as her bright eyes glowed. Not him, not the lunatics, and defiantly not Duck, she thought. In her emerald she could see her reflection. She frowned at it as she clutched the gem. If I cannot be loved, she whispered. No one will! Another voice, deep, deep within the palace walls, unseen by all, growled.
Yeah. Time passes and Duck recovers and trains with Zadavia. The Loonatics decide to use Freeling soldiers to take out Carvia's serpent army, and Duck himself will convince Kala to stop her evil ways. How is he feeling about all this?
Duck couldn't hold it in anymore. His body gave out as he started to cry over so many things that he never cried over before. The pain of feeling abandoned as a child, the pain of losing something he had waited so long to gain, the pain of constantly being overlooked by someone, the pain of knowing his father died because of him, the pain of his mother suffering, the pain of being betrayed by the ones he had once cared about most. All the years of repressed tears came flooding in the darkness of the universe, and the whole time, Zadavia held him close so he would not have to endure this dark night alone.
I wasn't lying when I said the fanfic made Duck emo. Ace gets it too.
He clenched his eyes as he remembered Duck almost being killed by the sword that proved his leadership. He blew it. If he had been a better leader, the universe wouldn't be endangered. If he had just trusted his friend for once, he wouldn't have been hurt, both emotionally and physically. If he hadn't listened to Kala, then none of this would have happened. But he did, and now the one who was suffering the most was Duck.
But in all honesty, one thing I enjoy about this fanfiction, and one thing that, looking back, made me obsessed, is that Rascally gave Duck and Ace dimensional personalities. Duck is a Lancer who holds a grudge for seemingly being the laughingstock of the team, and vulnerable to manipulation from the ones he loves. Ace is a perfectionist who second-guesses himself the moment he makes a mistake, and beats himself up over every flaw he has. And you know what their personalities were in the oh-so-edgy show? Ace was leader, Duck was Daffy in space. That was it. And sure, I'd love to see more characteristics beyond Lexi as girl and such, but this is a Danger Duck fanfiction, so I can forgive that. The next day, the Loonatics and Co. meet up with the Martian army, led by Melvin. Duck uses his chest crystal to head over to Carvia, but it doesn't take long for Kala to realize that they're there. The Loonies aren't too late, of course. Kala ordered the construction of her very own Death Star to tow Spectra into her clutches. She even stole the generator to do that. Remember the generator? Whatever shall I do?
Ace went completely blank. Duck waited for Ace to say something, but the ship gave another jolt. He gave up on him.
Tech, you, Rev, and Slam get on that giant ship and disable the generator. Zadavia, you stay here and try to hold off this unholy legion of snakes with Shorty here. Ace, Lexi, and I will handle her royal pain in the butt.
He ordered. Then he grabbed Lexi and Ace and teleported to the planet, where the rest of the Loonatics ran to an escape pod so they could get to the planet-sized ship.
Anyone know how to fly a Mars ship?
Tech asked.
Nope, not a clue. Unless you count the ship from Space Invaders 5000.
Rev replied. Tech let out a sigh.
Now, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to talk about each of these subplots one by one. You're just killing time, you fucker!
Shut up and let her speak!
Thank you! Tech, Slam, and Rev suit up in their snazzy spacesuits and work to find an entrance into the Carvian Death Star. Slam holds the enemy fleet off and they enter through the garbage chute. Okay then. They're immediately surrounded, but don't worry.
Any ideas? Because the plan would be really good right now.
Rev said.
Just one.
Tech said.
We fight.
With that, he uses magnetic powers to send a strip off of the floor at one side of the Carvians that surrounded them, while Slam uses Tornado to blow away the other.
This way!
They all started running, more Carvians on their tails.
What now?
It's too dangerous to blow up the ship. We all might get caught in the explosion.
Tex said as they ran.
Our best bet is to disable the generator. But first, we'll need to find it.
Right! How hard can it be?
Rev stopped in shock when he came to the center of the room, and there were more hallways and stairways than he had ever seen in his entire life.
Oh my god.
They're okay. They then split up to find the generator. While they do that, let's move on. Zadavia and Melvin are having a blast defeating the Carvian ships. Are they succeeding? Well...
Zadavia, reports show we have lost our frontal forces.
Melvin reported.
What about the first unit?
We've lost contact with them.
When Zadavia heard this, she frowned.
Hurry, lunatics. At this rate, we won't be able to hold out much longer.
She thought.
No. It gets to the point where the latter gets on his space scooter in order to fight them himself. How does that go?
In the midst of the space battle, Melvin was thinking the same thing as he dodged a powerful attack. He then used his own laser gun to blast out the jets.
How's it going out there?
Zadavia asked.
Oh, it's just peachy.
And he was very beat up, and despite their best efforts, Frelling was losing in the battle against the Carvians. If this kept up, the whole fleet would be wiped out.
If things don't turn in our favor soon, we'll have to retreat.
Have faith, Commander.
Zadavia said.
The lunatics will come through for us.
Do you have alcohol on that ship? If so, I want some.
He growled as he blasted at another ship. Suddenly, much to his surprise, all the Carvian ships vanished into thin air.
Huh? Ugh!
Commander!
Zadavia yelled in worry just before the Mars ship was blasted as well.
Ah!
Even worse! They're alive though, but the book won't tell us that for a little bit. Moving on, Ace, Lexi, and Doug race to Carvia's palace to stop Kala before it's too late, but she seems to have a few tricks up her sleeve.
You'll never win, you know.
Huh?
Duck stopped as he whipped around, looking for Kala.
Duck?
Lexi said as she stopped.
You okay?
Duck didn't reply, for he heard Kala's voice again. Even if you do make it past my guards and into my fortress, do you think you could beat me? She purred.
Where are you?
Duck yelled.
Huh?
Ace said as he frowned at Duck.
Duck, what's wrong?
Jim? She's here?
Duck could hear Kala laugh inside her mind. Even without my power, I've always been strong, she said. That's why you stuck by me, isn't it? Because I could protect you.
Jim!
Duck yelled as he rapidly whipped around.
Come on already, show yourself.
She uses her ability to control him physically, making him almost kill Ace and Lexi. And Duck snaps.
I'm here because you were right.
When he said that, the grip slightly loosened, so Doug continued.
You were right. I did abandon you. After I gained my power, I went back to your place and I couldn't find you. I remember thinking that you were probably with that guy still. Then I thought that maybe this was my chance to become stronger than you. I thought that if I could do that, then you would look down on me anymore. I thought that I didn't need you to become strong. I never once considered that you might have needed me. That's why.
Doug grit his teeth as he fought for control of his body, surprising Kala.
That's why I'm gonna fix it.
He yelled as he managed to force himself to his knees.
I'll bring you back no matter what it takes.
Sweat was rolling like a fountain off him, and he was grunting loudly. Lexi and Ace stared at him, but dared not get too close.
Wake up, Jim. This isn't how you work.
He yelled as he fought.
Jim, just tell me what happened.
Even after all the abuse, the manipulation, the fighting, he still loves her. He doesn't want to outright kill her. He just wants Jem back in his arms. Will he get her? Meanwhile, a shadow lurks under the palace.
Deep within the palace walls, locked far beneath, a strange creature looked at her long, claw-like hand.
I'll never be the same again.
I mention this because it will be relevant later, dear viewer. Ace doesn't understand why Duck is suddenly defending Kala after all she did to them, and Ace asks the armor-piercing question.
What's going on here, Duck? Are you in love with her?
Duck blinked in surprise when Ace asked him that. In love? Him? With Jem? No way! That was impossible! Sure, he cared about her, but he also hated her. She tried to kill him. There was no way, right? Lexi grabbed Ace's arm and yanked him away from Duck.
Ace, stop it! What's with you?
She asked.
Even if she is an evil witch, she was Duck's friend for years. Heck, she was his wife. Not to mention, this is Duck.
Hey, what's that mean?
Duck frowned.
Good to know that we can have a funny moment, even in the depths of a depressing fanfiction. But then...
Remember, boys.
A voice hissed.
We're home now. No holding back!
After that, dark laughs surrounded the lunatics before multiple cuts appeared all over them, no doubt caused by the creature's claws. Doug cried as he staggered, mortally wounded like his friends.
Damn it!
Tech, Rev, and Slam manage to defeat the Carvians they come across, and they discover the generators on the 98th floor. They go there after learning of Zadavia's death, and...
Now how do I do this?
He didn't have to figure this out, for just then, Slam threw the guard into it, and the generator exploded.
Yeah!
Rev yelled as he jumped away from the blast. Then he gave Tech a goofy look.
Consider it disarmed.
Tech just sighed as he ran a hand over his eyes.
Well, I guess that solves the problem. The Davia is revealed to be alive and continues the fight off screen, because of course she does. And while this all is going on, the three amigos stammer towards a possible entrance.
Lexi, Ace, and Duck stared at what seemed to be a crystal patch and noticed that there were many more leaving elsewhere.
What's this?
Lexi asked.
Meh, don't ask me to understand Jim's taste in stuff. Her old place had faces carved into it that looked like they belonged to the portrait of the screen.
Ace's eyes followed the path.
It looks like it leads over there. Should we follow?
He asked.
Well, we're not gonna get anywhere standing around,
Duck said as he staggered ahead. The two bunnies groggily followed, hoping that there weren't any enemies ahead.
And so we reach the final battle. Duck chooses to go alone, as he still has faith that the gem he knew is still there. Well, okay, he doesn't choose. Kala turns Ace and Lexi into crystal before he does. A shadow also appears, somehow manipulating the hidden figure.
If you are beautiful, then you are loved, it whispered. But if you are not, then what are you?
A monster.
The shadow said as it took the form of a beautiful woman with long ebony hair and toxic green eyes that glowed as bright as a beacon. She seemed to be made of smoke as she floated over the creature.
A monster that could not be loved or worshipped, only hated and feared.
Her voice was misty and breathless as she spoke.
That's right.
The creature said as she covered the glowing eye with a long spider-like claw.
If you're beautiful, you're loved. If you're ugly, you are hated and quickly become the source of torment for others. All these years, the only thing that ever protected me was my beauty. Without it, what do I have?
Absolutely nothing.
The woman cooed.
After all, when you're a beast, power doesn't matter, and neither does brains or a crown. All you are is a beast to be slain.
She wrapped her arms around the poor beast.
That's why you have to get them before they get you. You have to destroy them before they turn on you. But first you have to make them suffer. Suffer for the pain you've had to suffer.
And suffer they will!
The beast roared.
Okay, I'm going to be upfront. This Shadow Woman is only here to serve as the main villain in the sequel, which I will not cover because, again, it's irrelevant and doesn't do much in regards to this book. So please, 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 please assume that this demon just convinced herself she's ugly and she's hearing her inner thoughts or something. Why? I think that makes her a much more interesting character. Why is that relevant?
Doug fell to his knees as he stared at his friends who were now crystals.
Aw, don't look so sad. I think they look better this way.
Kala laughed. Doug clenched a fist as he grit his teeth.
Well, you do have a point. However, you still went too far.
He summoned an egg and used his powers to destroy the spears. Then he quacked to the end of the cave where a large door was completely blocked by crystal. He used his egg to destroy it and then stepped into a dark room that was completely dark.
Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out! A voice yelled.
Doug squinted through the darkness to try and see the owner of the voice. It sounded like Kala, but something was different.
Sorry, babe, but you know how bad I am at taking orders.
He summoned an egg to light up the place, but just a moment later, he wished he hadn't.
Jim?
He gasped as he took a step back. Doug took a startled step back as he stared with wide, frightened eyes. Before him was a blue monster with long spider claws. Spines decorated its back, and 3 long horns jutted out of its head along with bleached blonde locks. And a long, scaly tail.
Jim?
Doug gasped as he stared at the monster in shock.
Yikes, trying a new look?
Don't look at me!
Kala shrieked, making the whole area shake. Spears appeared once again, stabbing through one of his legs repeatedly until it was ripped to shreds. He cried as he fell back, clutching what was left of it.
Jim, what the hell happened to you?
Do you want to know what happened?
Kala cried as she suddenly appeared in front of him. Using her long diamond claws, she pinned him to the wall, making him cry out in pain. As his body slowly became crystal.
The same meteor that gave you your perfect life destroyed mine! After I was kind enough to drop you off at work, I went to see a certain guy about a diamond. When I saw the jewel, I wanted it. I asked if I could touch it. Well, at first he was less than willing, but I persuaded him. Just as I managed to grab that wonderful gem, however, that accursed meteor crashed. As enveloped by that rainbow light, I felt myself change. I still remember the pain of these accursed hordes ripping their way through my head.
And this is why I'm disregarding the shadow. All her life, Kala had to use her looks to get what she wanted. She was only loved for her looks, so she was nothing without them. She even says so herself.
You don't get it!
She shrieked as she smacked him with her tail.
When I became this, everyone turned on me. It was just like I was always told. Without my beauty, I was nothing. Suddenly, I was only a monster that was reject on sight! And now I can't even touch anything without it turning into crystal!
But this leads to one question. How was Kala able to regain her human form? This book never explains it, so I have two theories. Number one, Kala is able to project herself as a human whenever she's emotionally stable. As she is heavily unstable in the finale, this facade was dropped and cannot be regained. Number two, Kala uses gems to develop a human form while her true monster form remains in the palace. It's been established she can control things, so she can definitely control a puppet as her eyes and ears in the outside world. Which one do you think it is? Discuss! But alas, we reach the final battle. Duck versus Kala, light versus dark. But good versus evil? Not particularly.
Oh, the only reason you put up with me all these years was because I was pretty. You said so yourself.
She leaped at him, and Duck managed to quack out of the way, which was lucky for him because the area he was in was crushed to bits.
I just said that. You of all people should know I don't mean half of what I say.
He yelled. Then what do you mean, moron?
At this point, quacking was his only defense against Kala.
All these years you said the same kind of things to me, and I don't know what the hell you mean.
I don't either! She cried. I don't know. All I know is that I liked being with you. Even though we were always fighting, I loved those moments. I don't know why, but I did.
Duck stared at her with wide eyes as she continued.
But none of that matters anymore!
The whole area shook, and this time, Duck wasn't able to dodge Kala's claws, which sent him rolling back.
I'm a monster! That's all I am!
Duck squinted at her through his pain and saw that Kala had a crazed look on her face as she cried.
I'm a monster! An ugly, hideous monster that can never be loved!
That's not true.
Duck yelled.
You're a spoiled brat, but you're not a monster. You're Jim. You're strong, determined, you protect those you care about.
Then why am I like this? She cried. What did I do wrong? Why did I turn to this while you remained the same? We were both the same. We were both the same until that day. So why? Where did I go wrong? What was my mistake? Where did everything fall apart?
Jim.
He then let out another cry of pain as he felt Kala's claws rip into him.
Tell me! Was it when the meteor hit? Was it when I tricked that horned man into adopting me? Was it when those bullies started to pick on me? Was it when Mom abandoned me? When? There are others worse than me, you know. They deserve to die. They all deserve to die. Even if they don't deserve to, they will die because I said so.
Jim.
Duck cried as he broke through some crystal when she threw him. He whimpered as he tried to push himself up.
Jim, why am I not reaching her? Is it too late? Is she really?
He didn't get to finish that thought, for just then, Kala appeared in front of him with a grinning shadow.
And you will die because I said so!
In that moment, extreme, overwhelming fear overtook him to such an extent that he raised his free arm and blasted a powerful egg at Kala. Two piercing shrieks filled the cavern, and a shadow fled as Kala fell forward. Duck stared at her with blue eyes filled with despair.
No!
Lexi and Ace let out a startled breath as the crystal that trapped them began to melt away.
What happened?
Lexi asked.
Never mind that. Where's Duck?
Ace asked as all the crystal around them began to vanish. When the crystal vanished from Duck's body, he quickly crawled to Jim's side ignoring his own wounds.
Jim, please. This is where you're supposed to blast me for hurting you. Come on. Don't die. Kill me. Destroy the universe. Just don't die.
Lifted her in his arms. And because of this, Duck's arms were turning into an orange crystal.
Don't die.
Jim gave him a weak smile as her vision faded.
Am I pretty?
No. But I still love you.
Duck cried, tears filling his eyes.
Jimmy.
Lexi cried as she watched him, but neither she nor Ace could say a word, and they didn't dare to. All they could do was watch him in silence as he cried over the loss of his friend, tormentor, and wife.
Kala Mity died from her own obsessions. She never did tell Duck that she loved him, despite being obsessed with him. That and her obsession with her looks snapped her when that meteor hit, and thus resulted in her own ending. But in those final moments, Jem was there. Jem was there to ask one final question to the love of her life, Danger Duck.
After Kala's demise, the Carvians cease their attack, for there is no longer a reason to fight without their queen.
Spectra's power returned, and with it the light to the universe had returned as well.
Earth was more than a bit upset at the destruction of their generator, but they decided it was for the best.
Zedavia returned to Furlong with her ships, while the Loonatics returned to Mars with Melvin.
Duck's arms were completely crystallized and his left leg was completely torn, so all three were replaced with robotic limbs made from Mars technology.
Even he failed to retrieve the Diamond of Light. Because he defeated Kala Mity, he had proven his worth and was now free to take the throne of Mars any time. Since he was Kala's husband, he was also the king of Carvia and could take that throne as well.
With the re-evaluation of C4's betrayal, Duck Dodger's name was cleared and Earth once again had its chance to make peace with Mars. After he gained his new limbs, Duck took Kala to Spectra alone, where he built her a tomb where she could rest in peace.
Why?
He wondered as he held the paper crown in his new robotic hands.
Why couldn't I have just said I loved you before? Why didn't you say it? Why did we play this stupid game instead? If we had just been honest, would you still be here?
The young prince's question was never answered and could not be answered, and all the what-ifs he held within him would soon become the ultimate grief of the Prince of Mars.
The end. It's a somber note, but it goes to show that despite how messy this book can be, from the spelling errors to the bizarre plot points, it's beautiful. It does what I guess I wanted Loonatics Unleashed to be. A story made for love, not for money or popularity points. No, this book isn't perfect. Yes, it could have been written better, but this was the story that got me into writing. This was the story that inspired me to open my own YouTube account and make tribute videos on One True Media. This was the story that led me towards becoming the creator that I am today, and I can't bring myself to hate it. I'm sorry. Ryan, is this the future you want for Her Majesty, the Martian Queen? Are you that willing to give her years of mourning and pain just so your OTP can be real? Is it worth it? You know what? Yes. What? I don't care if she must suffer. I've had to suffer for years just so Adam Lambert can be my daddy. It's not fair.
Life is unfair, you idiot. Don't you know that?
Fuck you!
If you
Ryan's just going off somewhere to heal. She'll be back one day, but she probably won't hurt you again.
That's good.
That was just peachy, my queen.
Commander!
And that, my dears, was the 2010 trilogy in all its glory. A couple notes before we go. Rascally is still on the internet under a different username. I won't reveal it for privacy reasons. She also deleted a large portion of the videos she made to promote Prince of Mars. While I still have them on a hard drive, I will not be re-uploading them out of respect for her. I also used her art promoting the fanfiction for the video, so she gets credit for that as well. That canvas cost $100 and consisted of screenshots from Rascally's videos. If you're a fan of H-Bomber-Guy, you might know what it was a reference to. It remains my parents' guest closet to this day. Yes, that was a quarantine haircut I had in part 3. Don't judge me, we were all there. We all had to endure it together. And I still have that book. I made it because it's easier for me to glean information from physical books. And it was just a nice prop to have. And the parts I made art for are still like highlighted by like voice actor and everything. Like, I went really all out on this. But with that, I shall take my leave. Good night, and most of all, goodbye.
Jim, please. This is where you're supposed to blast me for hurting you. Come on, don't die. Kill me. Destroy the universe. Just don't die.
Lifted her in his arms. Jim gave him a weak smile as her vision faded.
Am I
all your chances
ready?
While you can.
No. But I still love you.
Doug cried, tears filling his eyes.
Jimmy.
Like a sum the mathematician cannot solve. Like me, trying my hardest to explain. It's all about your crossing kisses, those first steps that I can't calculate. I need some more of you to take me over. Take me over. If I had the chance to start again, then you would be the one I'd come and find. Like the poster of Berlin on my wall. Maybe there's a chance our walls might fall.
couldn't I have just said I loved you before? Why didn't you say it? Why did we play this stupid game instead? If we had just been honest, would you still be here?